call to order this meeting of the Lindsay City Council and welcome everyone here tonight. Would direct the clerk to take roll.
Councilmember Velasquez.
Here.
Councilmember Watson.
Here.
Councilmember Cortez.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Salinas.
Here.
Mayor Kimball.
Here. Thank you. Would you all please join me in standing for a Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilmember Velasquez.
Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to invite Pastor Chris Smith, Lindsay Church of the Nazarene, to come forward and offer an invocation for us tonight. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Lord, we love you. And we just thank you, Lord, for this opportunity we have tonight, Lord, to discuss things, Lord, that are going on in the city. I pray, Lord, and I thank you for these council members, Lord, and their acts of service. I pray, Lord, that you will give them wisdom, and not only wisdom tonight, Lord, but give them common sense to make good, sound decisions. We love you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Our next item is public comment. The public is invited to comment on any subject under the jurisdiction of the Lindsay City Council, including agenda items other than noticed public hearings. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person, with 30 minutes overall for the entire comment period, unless otherwise indicated by the mayor. Participants speak at the stand after clearly stating their name for the clerk. We have a pretty full house tonight. I understand there's a soccer team here with us tonight. Is that correct? I'm assuming some people will want to address us under public comment. So now is the time to do that. If you wish to address us, you may come forward to the podium.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eric Sinclair, Sinclair Television, Fresno, California, LLC. One of the things that I noticed was this robot tax that they were speaking about. And one of the things that I wanted to agree with was, one of the persons that I wanted to agree with was Bill Gates, because he's wanting to tax the people that are in charge of creating these robots and having them go out through the workforce, because we don't need to tax humans. We need to tax these robots, these people that are bringing in these robotics, taking over the workforce. And we could be making money off the robots, not that much more off of humans. And another thing I wanted to get onto was on social media, Rush Limbaugh made a few comments about the protesting and marching of kids for these school shootings. And one of the things that he said was, you know, these marchings aren't gonna stop these shootings. One of the things that I've worked on, along with a lot of other people, was ideas for our homeland security. And one of the things that I've noticed was, you know, we're so, you know, upheaved about, you know, making stronger borders, but we need to make stronger borders around our schools. Those are the future of this nation, and those are the futures of every other nation. And yeah, that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sinclair.
Check them out.
Ooh, it's got medals on.
They got medals. Then they're gonna bring us one. They're donating one to me.
Look at that.
Pictures.
Good evening. My name is Sandy Perez, and I'm here. First of all, to congratulate 5 Lindsay learners went to State Cup and won first place. And we've been out of 164 teams, we came first place.
Sandy, talk to the mic, please.
Oh, sorry. They're 2007, and we've been doing this State Cup since August, and our last round was just last weekend, and we took first place out of the 164 teams. Why I'm here is, as a parent, I've been struggling with fields, and I'm glad that we're here to propose that golf course turning into sports, kind of like a sports complex for all these boys. We've been practicing it in the park in the dark. We don't have fields access to any of our fields. The high school is so hard to get. We need a home field. My husband, sitting up there, creating a 2018 division, also called Central Valley for the 08s. But the problem is that we don't have a home field. And with that, we have to go to Visalia and play because we don't have a home field here. It's so hard to deal with the school, and finding their schedule is booked, and we don't have a home field. And with this soccer complex being out there, it's really so amazing for these kids to be there, to have a home field, bring teams from Madera, Clovis, and shop here, put gas, eat here. I mean, we're going to be bringing revenue. As we're traveling far instead of bringing all these teams to Lindsay. And I think we have all the categories that you can think. My husband itself, he has the 07s and the 08s. We have Mr. Faustino back there. He has 12 and under. We have Mr. Gonzalez. He has the 05s. All of us, as the coaches, we get in the thinking, where are we going to play? Where? We, on the park, we have 3 goals out there that as parents built to have a field out there. I know the park is public. We get there first. Whoever comes there first, we there get and play. There's sometimes we're marking the fields every Saturday, every weekend, every Friday out there. So with this coming up, it's going to be so amazing, and these kids have fields where they can go out there and play. And we can bring other teams, big tournaments. We've gone to tournaments. The entry fee is $450. I mean, we can make all these communities come, and we can create great revenue for the city of Lindsay. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Let's give a little applause for the boys in there.
Good evening. My name is Faustino Perez. I moved to Lindsay back in 2015. There was a nice soccer program here. It was going. I remember my oldest daughter, 23 now. She played. We had fun out there every weekend. It went out for about 4 or 5 years. Then, for whatever reason, people who maybe organized it kind of moved on, and everything stopped for 3-4 years. Back in 2009, I started talking to the city, started to the school district, trying to get fields again, places to play. It's hard to get into city grounds and school grounds. So after so many years that fighting in a way, in a nice way, we finally got a chance to use the turf fields, the old high school. And back in 2013, we started a rec league, which we started 260 kids back then. Now, as of next week, we're about to start our 6th year of this league, and we already have over 450 kids playing. Now, this is the competitive side. I do the rec part. Now, where do all these kids come from? That rec side. We give the chance to every single kid out there that doesn't have the chance to pay full price. And that's the reason I asked for fields to be out there accessible to every single resident here in Lindsay. We sponsor kids as well. We don't, me personally, I don't like to push no kids away. I do this for them to play. Sometimes I will stack the teams because I don't want to say, you know what, no, you cannot play because there's no room for you. No, that's not my thing. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say. All I ask for, again, is have a safe place for these kids here to play. I mean, right now, for the last 5 years, I've been using the turf fields at the high school for a recreational league. For whatever reason, revenue, this, and that. Now it's kind of a little bit of few obstacles on our side against us to use the fields. Fortunately, we kind of came to an agreement and we're working things out. But I'm just afraid that this is going to go away. And I still have an 11-year-old. He's not here today. He's sick. He stayed home. But I still have years to go to do this. If God permits me, gives me health, I'll keep pushing for my kids to have fun out there, healthy fun. So I hope it helps. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Adriana Andrade. I also would like to start off with thanking you guys, the city staff, the council, for this wonderful project, these soccer fields. It means so much to all of us. I've read some of the comments that people have posted on Councilmember Soria's Facebook page about why not leave the golf course. Well, you guys know that would be fiscally responsible of you guys to do that. I think you guys would love to see 400 kids out there instead of 10 people out there golfing. Another thing that was said, why not baseball? I love baseball, but they do have baseball fields. We really don't have soccer fields. And everybody thinks we do because they see McDermott, they see the amazing fields at the high school. But you also, as council members, know those might not be available to us soon. And so I hope you guys do think this through and approve this. Why not more park space? There's that whole area, that whole free area, which we've been using. So give us those fields, and you guys can have your free area again, because that's the space we use. Also, I know, I feel the soccer has always been put in the back. Nobody really cares for it. But you do have all these wonderful kids. And these little ones are mine. Where are my little ones? This is my team. Under 8. Come on. Okay. These are mine. And I want to have fields for them. I really do. You guys have seen how many of our kids at high school have gotten soccer scholarships. We've won the league for 7 years in a row. They are making a difference. So I hope you guys vote and approve this tonight. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi there. Good evening. My name is Maria de la Fuente. And I've been hearing a lot of negative things about the soccer fields. My question is, why not soccer fields? I hear let's put baseball, t-ball, what have you. We need soccer fields. We don't have any soccer fields. We practice in the dark. We take our own lamps. I know the city has sort of remodeled the Olive Bowl, so there is diamonds there that they can play on. We don't have any soccer fields. McDermott is not ours. That's a private business, And you can't compare an indoor soccer field to an outdoor. The high school, that's like pulling teeth trying to use that field. Not only that, it's very expensive. And you heard Mr. Faustino, there's over 400 kids that signed up. There's more than that want to play. I hear that. So as a community, we need to stick together and support these children. Not just young kids, but if you go out there on a Saturday, Sunday, you see all walks of life, all ages, from 5 to 55. So we need that for our community, and it will bring a lot of revenue in. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
One voice.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council during public comment?
Good evening, council. My name is Juan Vasquez. Been here in Lindsay basically all my life. I'm in charge of baseball this year with Lindsay Youth Softball Baseball. These are part of my board members here.
I am Wendy Sinclair, I'm our treasurer.
Jesse Bencourt, Vice President.
Sheena Mayer, Secretary.
Okay, one thing I wanted to talk about was we are getting charged by, according to the city, to maintain our fields and or to play on the olive bowl, and that's fine. You know, I understand that, but they're charging us to volunteer our time to go out there and fix them, maintain them. Example, this Saturday we were out there about 5 hours cleaning, maintaining fields, dragging them, and we're getting charged for it. They're charging us. It doesn't make sense. Okay. Yeah, okay. What? Oh, here you go.
Okay, so we understand that we have to pay for the field usage for practices and games, but that's the whole main thing, is maintaining the field. We as parents don't mind maintaining the field. We have a group of parents that would regularly like to help and go and maintain the fields, but we need to call in advance, let them know so they could open the gates for us. But sometimes it's after work or on the weekends, and sometimes it's just last minute, hey, we could go fix the olive bowl, let's go. But we can't, because we have to wait and we have to be charged to do it. We're willing to take our time to do it. We just don't feel like we should be charged to maintain the field if we're being charged for it, if that makes sense.
Practices, I
We
understand.
could deal with the games and practices, but the whole maintaining of it. And there's quite a few things that need to be maintained about it. Like the benches, the scroll holes need to be constantly filled because or else the squirrels will keep on going. And I don't know how many people have fell already. The ribs of the dugout are falling on the benches. There's metal cement stakes that are sticking out that probably should be covered because we've had a few kids play on them. And that's pretty much about it.
You guys got anything else?
Well, for us, we did put our budget together. Us four literally put 99% of our own money to get our nonprofit status registered through the state. We have our 501c3. We did not anticipate this in our budget. We wanted to keep the cost minimal for these kids to play baseball. And as it is, they pretty much paid for what they got, their uniforms. Everything else, we did. We want this to be a cheap sport to play, and then we get hit with this bill that we have to pay for usage of the field to let these kids play. It doesn't make sense. Now we're going to have to rely on more parent volunteers, such as our snack bar, which we have it available because there is one there. But that's not what we wanted the money to go to. We wanted to go back into this program for these kids. Much less, our 3-year plan is to have this free for these kids to play. Parents would only have to pay for cleats. That's our vision for Lindsay Youth Softball Baseball. We busted our butts to get our 501c3 with our own money, and the least we could do is have an inexpensive field to play on, or a free open to us. And from what we heard years ago, there was supposed to be some marvelous grant to renovate the Olive Bowl. It looks like we did most of the renovation ourselves on Saturday, and that's so sad for these kids to play on it when it's for baseball. So if you guys can consider, maybe we can make some kind of deal. I don't know, but our passion is for these kids to bring baseball back to Lindsay. That's it. Thank you.
And I mean, it's one more thing. You know, we got to wait on a high school student to go over there and open the gate for us.
I'm sorry. That's
Literally.
a little insulting to us. We're
Literally,
adults.
just open it, and we're doing the rest of the work, and we're getting charged for it. It just doesn't make sense. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the council?
I'm Trudy Wishman, and I'd just like to put in a word for not making the decision tonight to make this very drastic shift in the recreation lands. Right now, it sounds to me like we have no idea. I understand and sympathize with the need for soccer fields, but I remember when Ramona Padilla was mayor, she was working really hard to get better baseball fields for the students in Lindsay, and this grant for the Olive Bowl may have been part of that and another citizen movement to get this organized. This is not just a change from golf to soccer. It's a change from baseball and golf to soccer. I believe the soccer is important. We built a 3-story facility for soccer. I wanted to ask why isn't McDermott open to them? It's crazy that we've spent all this public money, and now we're going to take more public money, and we're going to take it away from a purpose that has been designated for baseball, and we're going to move it to another purpose and eliminate another one in the process. That's not responsible fiscal use of public money. You don't have any public input on this. This is a quick fire decision, and I don't think you should make this decision tonight without getting more public input and more information about how are the students going to be charged for the soccer fields? How are you going to maintain those? This is not a fiscally responsible proposal.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Gerardo Camargo, and I coach soccer too. I'm a coach, and we do have to travel a lot to go and play, to take kids out. To me, sports are so important for kids, especially with all this stuff that's going on right now. To me, it's very important to keep them and out of trouble and be good kids. And when I see, I have a 21-year-old daughter, and I have a 16-year-old high school boy, and I see him growing here in Lindsay. See my kids growing, and being in sports I have such a nice kids that I think that my 21-year-old is in San Jose University, and my 16-year-old, I'm hoping he goes the same road, but I saw him since little that being in soccer, it's more. I know he's gonna be good, and these little kids that are behind me, that's what they need. They need to be in sports. They need to have a nice, clear mind that this is gonna help them a lot. In the winter, we went all the way to LA to a tournament. We went to Modesto, and everywhere we go, we see these nice soccer complexes with like thousands of people, thousands of kids, and we have a small community compared to Modesto, compared to Stockton, compared to Manteca, and the huge, full of kids, and we need something like that. We need something like that for our Lindsay town, and it's a dream. Like when I saw the picture of the soccer fields, I'm like, That's exactly what we need. I know that it's a golf course. I always see the golf course. I've been seeing it for years, and it's, you know, maybe it's sad for letting it go, or I don't play golf. I tried once, and my clubs are there in my house. But I'm not against that. I'm not against anything. But I do like the idea when the soccer team this year, I saw the whole soccer team growing since they're like this tall. Since me and Abraham Bancor, we have that team, and when they have so much fun all together because they grow together and they play together for so long. And that's what I want to have for everybody. I wish we can do that for every kid.
Mr. Camargo, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but your time is up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
Passion.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council?
She's shy, go ahead.
Me as a spokesperson. As a parent, I notice the struggles that our coaches deal with on a weekly basis.
Can we have your name, please?
My name is Anna Lopez.
Thank you.
And we deal with like everyone was saying, I don't want to be redundant about what everyone's saying, but pretty much I feel the struggle and I feel the stress as a parent because McDermott, for example, we were going to practice today at McDermott. My friend here does not have access to McDermott, so she would have to pay. And I don't think it's fair because we as citizens should have the rights to take advantage of the courts that are provided in the city. And having this new complex for our sports team would be an amazing project for our facility for our city of Lindsay, so our kids can benefit. So that my son, he does not benefit baseball from here. I have to drive to Tulare to take him to Cal Ripkins because Lindsay does not have a strong baseball team. My son loves sports, and he's also in soccer with Rafa in our Tipton League, and he's also in the Premier Vasaya League. So this is really important to me as a parent. I speak on a parent aspect point of view because we feel the stress that our coaches feel, and we're constantly saying there's practice this day, and then it cancels because we don't have the privilege to be there at the Lindsay soccer field at the high school because it's not available, or it's too dark and we're not allowed to practice anymore. And yes, our coach does take our lamps, and that's not enough because we do not want our kids to get injured out there either. So that's my point of view as a parent.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Elson Ibarra. It's really sad to see your kids when they come for practices and it's dark out there. They can't even see the ball. It's really sad. I encourage you to go to practices. We practice when the coach is available. But if you drive by either the park in Lindsay, maybe around 6:30, you'll see our kids out there playing dark. Like Anna said, the coach would take a flashlight just so that there's some kind of light. We also practice sometimes at the high school fields, and that will be on the west side of the fields. When there's really no light, and we only practice there because we get a little bit of light, just a little bit of light from the soccer fields on the east side, from either games or other practices. I really encourage you to drive by so you can see how sad it is when our kids are out there trying their best to be a better team, and we need to support our kids, so please consider soccer fields. Thank you.
Our kids are eager to sprout in this sport. They're just eager to grow. And having the support from our city that will benefit our kids. That's it.
Thank you. Others wishing to address the council? Going. All right, seeing no one, we will close public comment period. I thank everyone for their interest and their passion. I think it's important to point out this is not an easy thing for us here to decide. We have not a lot of money to put towards the Lindsay Park. It's really limited in my understanding, and I want to just bring up this one point to clarify because a lot's been said about lighting, that we do not have the funds to put lighting on these fields that are being proposed.
That's correct, Madam Mayor.
So they would continue to be only useful during the daylight hours, should this be decided that way.
Mayor, in light of the number of people that are here and the young people that are here specifically for the sports complex, soccer sports issue, item 11, I'd like to make a motion if we can move it up as high as we can so we can address it sooner rather than later, so we don't have them waiting while we're doing our business with the ordinance.
Second headed.
Okay.
And it could be after item number 4, I think would be appropriate.
Is it
That's
moved and seconded that this item be moved up to like space number 5 following consent calendar? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. All right, with that, we'll move on to council reports. Councilman Velasquez, anything you wish to report on tonight?
No, I don't have anything to report out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Not at this time.
Watson?
Because I always have something to report. I'm sorry. I heard you guys, now you guys are going to listen to me. Here we go. In light of the recent school violence incident and all the concerns that it's caused, plus all the recent youth arrests made in local towns due to threats made against schools, I just want to say that I admire the collaboration of our city public safety department, our school district, and our community vigilance. I know there have been and that there are parents that are still afraid to send their children to school. We're getting those calls on a daily basis. But LPD and the school district has made sure that the community is informed, and that has helped to calm some of the stress felt as a result. The district sent out a telephone message to families. The police chief sent out a public information bulletin that was also very helpful. LPD has been very visible around the schools, and as a council, communication with the city manager has been very helpful because I know sometimes we get some questions from the public, and it helps to be kept current with what's going on. So thank you to everyone that has been actively working on this matter. I commend everyone for the exceptional job you guys have all been doing. Chief, thank you. Speaking of sports, sports is spring sports season is quite active, from outdoor soccer, recreational leagues, traveling teams, club teams already active, to softball, baseball, and soon to begin skimmers. I just got a text about skimmers practice starting in April, so I also know that there's volleyball going on at this time. And I want to recognize the LHS boys and girls soccer teams for making it as far as they have. They're our league champions, and we're very close to winning Valley again this year. And as such, because there is such a great interest in sports, one of the things that I wanted to bring up maybe later too is also establishing like a sports committee where they're meeting with Lisa, you know, on a quarterly basis, if not more often, to discuss concerns and needs that exist in the community for all of our sports, not just one sport, but all the sports. You guys know I'm a soccer mom, I'm a baseball mom, I'm a football mom, I'm a skimmers mom. So my interest is in all the sports, not just necessarily one, okay? I want to share that I saw an article in the Porterville Recorder about the Porterville City Council adopting a resolution in support of DACA. I've already talked to city manager about that, and I'll bring it up again at the end of our meeting, but I would like to bring that up for council approval or support as well, because I think that it's important, especially during these days, that we let our community know that we're in support of them regardless of their immigration status in this country. I also connected with Brian Watson this past week. We have our nomination that's going to be moving forward for our special recognition with one of our community members, so we'll have that available at the next council meeting. And another thing that I want to mention is, while being at the hospital over the weekend visiting a family member, I noticed that in that community they have a city magazine, and I brought this up before, that I think that it's important that we have a newsletter of some sort that's sent out twice a year or on a quarterly basis, where we're letting our community members know what's going on around town, and that way they're not, necessarily getting their information secondhand, because sometimes that's when issues begin. So even if it's not necessarily a city thing, if there could be a collaboration with the chamber, with the hospital district or something, because I know that financially maybe we're not in a spot where we can afford it, but maybe if we collaborate with other stakeholders, we can make that a reality. And that's all I have, so thank you.
Laura, I wonder if we could do that with the high school, with some of their kids do as a project. They have all that equipment and.
They have like the video stuff, but I don't know if they have like a newspaper, or I don't know if they have.
They
that.
used to print newspapers.
They used to.
They used to, but I haven't seen one.
You can see it now, Journalism Pathways Program.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's a good
Maybe
idea.
they'll create
So
some
something
good
to explore.
journalists from that stuff.
Okay. Couple of things, just FYI, and I just read this tonight. Apparently, a single countywide oversight board is to be created to replace the 8 oversight boards for successor agencies to the redevelopment agency. So our successor agency would be dissolved and become part of this one countywide one going forward. I wanted to announce again a couple events at the museum. I gave all council members flyers on the S.L. Hammond's photography show display, Lindsay Through a Lens 1915 through 1950. These are photographs that have just recently been digitized and developed from a very renowned photographer, and there's some beautiful pictures. The ones on this flyer, if anyone want to take, I should put it in the back, but it's amazing. It shows the Lindsay area back, I don't know when, but completely covered with poppies. Like, well,
Is that Mound Valley?
it just, that's like Elephant's Back right there. This is forward, this is into us.
Wow.
It's amazing. And then there's some really amazing Orange Blossom Festival pictures that would be great to see going into our Orange Blossom Festival season. So that'll be up through March, but there's an opening reception on Saturday, this Saturday from 4 to 7, and everyone's invited. There's no cost to come into our opening reception and see this display. And then there's another event, and this is to help keep the Lindsay Museum and Gallery running by raising some funds. It's all operates through donation totally. So there's the St. Patrick's Day dinner on March 17th, which is Saturday, starting at 5, $20 a ticket, corned beef and cabbage. If you haven't had any, it's really good stuff. So hope everybody will come out for that. And I'd like to pass that down so these flyers could be put on the table back there for anyone interested. And at this time, I would like to, say that it's our city clerk and finance director's last meeting with us. He's going to be really missed, Mr. Brett Harmon. He's been with us a little over a year and really done a great job for the city of Lindsay in helping us get our finance department all in order. We wish him the best, and I think the council would just like to give a little recognition. Thank you. You pass down this little note for you.
been a pleasure.
Thank you for your service to us. And let's see, with that, we'll move on to staff report. Our student is ill tonight and not able to make a report from the high school, so we'll move on to a staff report with Bill Ziegler.
Madam Mayor and Council, I'll keep my report very brief. I will give you a more detailed report via email. Highlights, our new city website is up and operational. If you haven't seen it, you should. Special thanks to Brian Sponhurst, Brett, and Maria. Thank you for your hard efforts in that. I think it looks good and it's much more user-friendly, I think. Some staff will be participating in local schools' Dr. Seuss Read Across America program this Friday. I would invite community members to reach out to the local elementary schools. They love to have people read to the children, and the children love it. So there's an opportunity here, I think, at most of our elementary schools. Application period for finance director applications is tomorrow afternoon. We have about 13 so far. And you know, I think I'll wrap it there, and as I say, I'll give you a more detailed report via email. Thank you.
Next item is a consent calendar. We have 3 items on consent to be approved with one motion unless someone from the council or the audience wishes to have something pulled for further discussion. On the consent calendar, we have the city council meetings from February 13th, 2017, the warrant list for February 20th, and the 2018 Orange Blossom Festival advertisement. Council members, what action would you like to take?
Should this be 18?
Yeah, that should be, change that 17 to an 18.
I'll move for approval with that little correction.
All right.
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Our next item then will be the soccer sports park development at City Golf Course to be presented by Bill Ziegler.
Maria, the PowerPoint, please. Yes, please. So the request is staff recommends that council authorize the transfer of housing-related parks program grant monies in the sum of $330,000 to the golf course area in support of its conversion to a soccer sports complex. So go to the beginning, please. Where are you? Okay, so you can see the golf course there. We're all very familiar with the golf course. Next slide, please. So the golf course background. The city has paid $21,600 per year for golf course management. And in addition to that, 32 hours of employee time at $10.50 an hour has been provided for an annual cost to the city of $22,200 in labor. That puts the city's cost at $43,800 in the labor-only cost for golf course operations. This does not include equipment, watering, irrigation repairs, and other associated costs. From documentation kept by golf course management, there are approximately 286 rounds of golf played per year for a net cost to the city of $153 per round of golf. So you're paying the golfers $153 to go out there and golf. Considering the city's current financial status, this is not sustainable. Next slide, please. So, other golf courses. Staff has reached out to 25 Valley golf courses to identify profitable public 9-hole courses for comparison. No profitable public 9-hole courses were found. The list is on the right there. Most courses are privately operated and are 18 holes. Porterville, however, has a public 9-hole course. Next slide, please. Staff was able to obtain their numbers from their annual
Bill,
budget.
Can I stop you there for a second? Can you go back to that slide?
Sure, go back one, please.
Yeah, before I forget, I don't want to forget this. You said that the public 9 holes are not profitable, but the public ones, the private ones are.
I'm not saying that the private ones are not as free about releasing their revenues.
So you don't know that the private ones are
I have
profitable?
no idea if the private ones are or not.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. So staff was able to obtain Porterville's numbers for reference. This year, the course will lose approximately $128,482, even with an annual infusion of $69,000 from their general fund. And you can see the line items there. And they've got a running balance there of what this is costing them. They're at about $1.2 million in the hole in operating that golf course. I don't know over how long a period of time, but you can see the negative balance increase year by year. And that's what that slide shows. Next slide, please. So soccer sports park development. Can this space be repurposed for recreational activity that would be meaningful and affordable for our community? And can it be sustainable? Next slide. And so there's a proposal of 2 adult soccer fields and 3 youth soccer fields. So the city has about $330,000 in housing-related parks program grant monies earmarked for minor improvements to the Olabukaku Park complex. From our people that have been following baseball, we had grand plans for that complex out there. We were chasing a state grant that required dual use out there. It was about $1.2 million. We were competitive enough that they paid a site visit to us. We walked the site. They said, you've got a great idea, you've got a great complex, but frankly, you're competing with major urban areas and you're not going to get it. So that's when we had a 5-year master plan for that. And the $330,000 was to leverage for that grant to do this grand thing that we wanted to do out there. We've done handicapped accessible bathrooms. We have done some improvements to the snack bar facility. So we thought, well, okay, we need to do something. This money must be spent by June the 1st or disencumbered. And so we looked at it, we could do another bathroom out there, some play equipment at Kaku, and do some grading to the olive bowl of the existing fields. Let's see. Part of the problem was it required some survey work out there, and as council's aware, city engineer Jim Witten, he provides the city survey work. He passed away unexpectedly, and it took time for his office to get a plan of succession in place. And what happened is it delayed the survey work to a point that it puts the whole project's timing in peril. So we reached out, we had a conference call, a couple of them actually, and written correspondence with the states related to the HRPP, that Housing Related Parks Program grant, asking for an extension so that we could get the survey work done out there, and our requests were disapproved. They're not willing to extend it. It's got to be spent by June the 1st or it simply goes away. The state will, however, allow for the transfer of HRPP funds, all or part of it, to an alternate city recreation site. Lindsay's residents have a very active interest in soccer with over 400, I learned today 450 youth registered to 37 teams at the time for the Lindsay Youth Soccer League in 2018 per league director Faustino Perez. Access to enough fields to accommodate this popular activity has proven challenging. With that knowledge, staff has done some preliminary work laying out scaled adult soccer and youth soccer field templates over the existing golf course, resulting in what you see in front of you. What I want to say about that, parking can be provided by the city parking lot adjacent to the Memorial Building, the triangle area by the park, bordered by Alameda Parkside and Elmwood, and potential parallel parking along Elmwood, Sequoia, and Ono City. The community center could provide for overflow parking as needed. Council is aware that there is a movement afoot called sports tourism. As you look at that map there, on the east side of Elmwood, there's the vacant lot. There would be opportunities for economic development that could tie to this. What I personally like about it is I see an opportunity for it being revenue neutral. We declared a fiscal emergency in February of this past year, and it was not done lightly. Council made that determination, looking at our finances, what they were and what they are. So anything that we look at, we have to look at with sustainability. Can we keep it up if we do it? And can it be affordable for the people who use it? Staff believes that this can be. It will not have lights. That's something that could happen in the future. We don't have numbers on that, but we know that they're not cheap. Anything that we do with Edison tends to cost a lot of money. Next slide, please. And that shows the mini field if council wanted to pursue that in the north end of things. Next slide, please. And you have the budget, and it's a draft budget, but we have $330,000. You see total project cost of $315.40. I'd like to think it can be done more cheaply than that. We look at, we've always wanted to have some fencing along Sequoia where the oleanders currently are. I'd like to see fencing surrounding this if council chooses to do it with controlled openings, and so parents or groups could control who comes and goes if they needed to charge for some sort of league activity. Council can determine in the future if you want to allow for there to be parent groups providing refreshments out there as fundraisers or any number of things that could happen to make that pencil. So I see a lot of opportunity. I mentioned earlier the HRPP money can be used on one site or multiple sites. This isn't to say that we couldn't do still some improvements to Kaku Park in that area with funds that remain from this. But the key is it's all got to be spent by June 1st or we lose it. Next slide, please. I think that's it. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Lights, please.
I have a question. So as far as like the drawing of the actual fields, like that would be the responsibility of the coaches, or who's responsible, or is that turf? I'm not clear on that.
We would grade it, Mike, and is the plan to seed it?
Okay.
Right, the estimate was based on a contractor coming in and basically taking out what is in the way. There's some trees that would have to be taken out, other trees are gonna remain. But the purpose would be to level the fields so it would allow drainage, but at the same time, get rid of any sort of grade differences out there. Marking the fields, the city could take the responsibility of marking them an initial time, maybe to the point of burning in perimeter boundary areas. And then as teams or leagues take responsibility for the area, they could be chalking them on a game basis or tournament basis.
Bill, what was the possibility of taking those couple of lights behind the FM Moore building, which are powerful
They are.
lights? I mean, they're kind of nice to have down there, but you know, we might be able to arrange them as just a start for the lighting process.
If council, that's very much a possibility. If council approves the project, we can, as a next phase, again, we haven't chased any of the money, but we know the movement of lights, the movement of utilities is tremendously expensive. But if you give us the green light on that, we'd love to see lights out there too, and we'll turn over your rock to see what we can do affordably, and we'll report back to you.
Yeah, for sure.
And Bill, what was the, one of the issues was the cost of mowing the lawn. That's $22,000 you said of staffing. That cost is not gonna go away.
Correct.
So that continues. And you said that it was around 44,000 total, which means that the 20-something thousand is being paid to the manager of the golf course now. And we have somebody that's interested in running the golf course, but we wouldn't be paying him that 20,000. So while this year we're losing apparently $44,000, if we were to continue with the golf course, we wouldn't be losing 44,000. We would still be contributing 22,000. Right?
Correct. We'd be contributing 20 whatever $1,000,
Right.
whatever the labor rates are in the purchase of the equipment, which we would need anyway. We would do that without a mechanism to recover those revenues if we kept it as a golf course.
So it's, you know, so I just wanted to make sure it's clear that we're not going to be losing 44,000. We're going to be, if you want to say losing, but it's costing the city not 44,000 in the future, but 22,000. So that's a little misleading because we won't. It's not the same thing.
Well, what that represents is what the golf course costs us. That's not misleading. The golf course costs us $44,000 to run like it is right now. And with our fiscal emergency, we cannot afford to do that.
But it's not going to run like that.
No.
From now on, because it's not going to be. If anything, it's going to be 20,000. It's half of that.
Well, and again, equipment, repair of irrigation, and all of those things. Without a funding mechanism, we had 268 documented golfers using that in the course of a year.
I think he's just trying to clarify that the expense would be more like 22 or 25,000.
In the 20s. Okay.
In the 20s.
Do you see that being less with it all being level? 'Cause they're gonna be able to get in there and mow it instead of paying attention to the greens and to the
You won't have the
sand traps.
specialization of greens maintenance, that's for sure. Sand traps, that kind of thing, you won't have that requirement.
Now, I personally like the idea of the changing it over, but I wanted to bring up a putting green on hole number 1, a putting green and chipping green. Just leave that one that isn't, that's to the north, right? That one, that's to the north. And if people wanted to bring their own balls and shag their own balls, you just kind of give, because that's what our course is for chipping and putting. It's not for driving for the most part. Some people can drive, over the fence if that's what they really wanted to do. And that would just still keep a portion of the golf. I mean, it's not everything, but it's something where people could still go and use it. But I drive through the park many times a day, and if I saw, 20 people a day, I'd maybe be going the other way. But I see maybe 2 to 3 a day on that golf course, and that's every different times of the day. It's not just in the morning. But I would like to see us either put the conduit in for the lighting, if we can't do anything else, that way we're not tearing up the fields later.
Right.
And knowing where Edison will allow us to get power from. And we do also have lights over at the high school that are probably never going to go up. So that'd be more lights.
That's a sore point.
We would like them to go up. So if they're not going to use them there, we take advantage of pulling those lights. And yeah, we don't want to have our kids or anybody in the dark practicing anything.
Do we have lights at Harvard Park? And my question is, have we considered putting money into Harvard Park to create, or recreate the soccer field that was once there and was very usable?
We've made headway with Harvard Park. Our big challenge there has been the irrigation pump and the expense to repair that. Marshall and his team, and I think Mr. Perez Faustino's been out there working on that, and they're greening it up, and we intend to use Harvard Park for soccer this year. Is that right, Ms. Davis? Yeah, we intend to do that, and we're limping along, and we hope to get that fixed. But yes, I believe the state would allow for the transfer of money to Harvard Park as well.
Does Harvard Park have lights? I don't remember.
No.
But if lights went out there, you could quickly.
It never did, huh? I thought it had it for softball. No.
Never had any lights.
And so would you be able to fit the same amount of soccer fields there?
I don't think so. You have the same acreage.
And then there's always going to be the drainage issue. Hopefully, because we're going to have a lot of rain. So. Well,
go ahead.
Oh, I didn't know if it was time for us to kind of give our input.
Well, we can.
I mean, we were asking
I think
questions.
We're still talking, so
all right.
whatever.
Because I just want everybody to know that since I've been on the city council, and I've been here, I was 17 years before getting reappointed. And since I first started, I used to coach soccer. I used to coach volleyball, t-ball, softball, all the recreation that we're talking about today. And one of the reasons that I came on the city council was because it was my passion to create a recreational community, and which included all recreation, all sports. I think an issue's always been with money. How do we fund this? How do we keep this going on a regular basis? And I think one of the soccer coaches talked about how it went down for a while because you change coaches, right? Families, their kids grow up, so you have different coaches coming in and out. And I've seen that over and over again in different. We used to have a lot of volleyball tournaments with kids, and I put a lot of those together. So I get and I understand the struggle that you have with creating and finding facilities and finding the money to run these programs, because I've done that. I've been involved in that when my kids are old, so they probably don't want me to say that, but they're older, and they're grown. Now I'm doing it with my grandchildren. And my grandson plays soccer. My grandson plays basketball, and he plays t-ball. And he started playing golf, and he really liked it. So personally, I think that, and Trudy's going to probably like me for saying this, is that I don't think that we're ready to move this forward, and I think we need to have more discussion, and we need to have find more ways to help all of us. And I think that eliminating one sport to promote another is not the right direction. And I think that I know what you're saying, because I was out there in the soccer fields last year with my grandson, and the lights went out. And I'm calling the city staff and saying, why are the lights going out? We got all these kids out here. So I know what that's like, because I was out there. and they still, the kids don't care, they just keep playing, right? And so they just keep running, but I'm going like, they're gonna run into each other, they're gonna get hurt, we can't have that. So I understand that, so I don't want you to think that just because I'm not for this project, I don't think we should do this to the golf course, but that doesn't mean I'm not for soccer, and I'm against finding a way to promote soccer in a way that will help all the community. I think a better choice is for us to pursue a recreation district that would generate the funds that we can use to provide those facilities in the future. And I know that that's probably not what some of you soccer people want to hear. I've also been out at Olive Bowl, and a lot of the council in the past have gone out there on work days, and we planted trees, and we filled in,
Darn squirrel
holes, and we did a lot of work out there. We did the benches, and so we know what it's like to go work out there too. I just think we need to have a community that has a diverse recreational opportunities, and we can't just. I don't want to just focus on one sport, but I think we need to have the opportunity for everyone to really find their skill in whatever sport they want. I take my grandson to all the sports because I don't know which one he's going to really excel in. He may really like golf. He may really take off in it, but he may really take off in soccer too. He's really good. So I think there's a lot more questions that we have. I think there's opportunity to talk about, ways to do both. I know that there's an issue with the grant and moving that forward. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, and I think that's why we need to take advantage of it now. It's gonna take time. Like, we can't either approve or disapprove that now, and it's gonna start tomorrow. Everything's gonna take time.
Right.
And if we don't take advantage of this grant, we risk losing it. Right now, we have a sport that's being successful, and we need to run with it, I think. However, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not only a soccer mom, I'm a softball mom, I'm a baseball mom, I'm a football mom, I'm all the sports. So, like I mentioned in my report earlier too, I'm very interested in that sports district or committee where we're getting together and addressing all these other concerns as well. Start off with this project and then move on to something else, whether it be the Olive Bowl, because I'll be spending a lot of time there in the next few weeks, and I'm gonna bring those concerns here too. Because, it's not only my children that are out there, it's your grandkids, the whole community, and I work with them on a daily basis, and I hear their frustrations as well. So, and right now, this sport is doing very well, from our little leagues, our recreation and traveling teams, club teams, to the high school. So I think that we need to run with it, even if we have questions. I think that it's something that can be arranged or discussed as we go through the process.
Yeah, as someone who enjoys golf, and my son, youngest son, has really enjoyed golf too, but we go to Exeter. And if you play a little golf, you'll understand why. And as much as I enjoy golf, I love baseball. I'm not, I didn't grow up playing soccer, but the reality is we have, I think, something kind of special in this community in regards to soccer. And what we don't have is a facility or facilities to accommodate that growth. And I think we are presented with kind of a unique opportunity. And like I said, some of you know I don't live very far from the golf course. I pass by it, like Danny and Pam, many times every day. And I mean, there's hardly anybody out there. There's more squirrels than there are golfers, by far.
That's going to be in the paper.
Yeah,
that's the one line. The squirrels play soccer.
That's right.
Golf in Lindsay.
And we don't. And I don't think. I mean, from a fiscal point of view,
I'm trying to help you out.
We can't. I don't think we can let this grant money go back. And as far as being able to generate the revenue, I mean, I think this is again one of these unique opportunities that will allow us to maybe not even break even, but maybe be a little bit in the black for once on something. And I think our biggest problem will be parking, quite honestly, and that's always a great problem to have.
I still think though that you have to look back at, I forget who said it, one of them said that there was a drop a couple of years because the coaches changed. And the soccer, they had to rebuild that soccer league again. What if at that time, when the soccer was down in the numbers, and you had soccer fields like this, and we said, you know what, we got this grant to build a new golf course, and we could take away these soccer fields and put a golf course there. You know, you would have just the opposite effect, right? People would you wouldn't be happy with that either. There's some golf. I think that, you know, why does he go and golf in Exeter? Because the facilities need work, and this is an opportunity to use the grant money to make a excellent golf course, upgrade that golf course to make it one that will be, that people will want to come and play golf in Lindsay. Just because the numbers are down now doesn't mean that they're always going to be there. Yeah. So, you know, this is an opportunity also to create a golf course that will be, you know, supreme golf course in Tulare County. You know, we will have Exeter people coming to play, and the squirrels will go to Exeter.
I think one of the things that we need to consider, though, is we really have to recognize that there's been a shift in our population in this community, and the way we're going, I mean, you know, we have to be realistic about it.
We do.
But there's always shifts going in population. That's going to change. If we get the housing market going the way we're hoping, it's going to be another shift.
But that's why we also want to establish this recreational district or committee so that we can continue to address these situations and not wait until, you know, we're between a rock and a hard spot to make important decisions.
And the recreational district is something that is going to be, it will be an important thing to us to discuss, because we're all going to chip in for it. It works like a bond on your property tax, and some people don't like that. But if we're all, at least the majority of us, are all willing to chip in a little bit, we can have the revenue that we need to be able to facilitate the soccer fields, you know, the swimming pools, you know, all the other things that we really need to make this a first-class recreational place, like we all dream of it. But just from a demographic point of view, finally, you know, whether it's here, Los Angeles, I mean, Utah, soccer, and like I said, I don't play it, and that's okay. You know, I know a lot of people who do, and they love it, and I love them for loving it. But the reality is, like Laura said, is that that's one of the 3 sports that is still growing in popularity. And golf, as much as I love it, it's going demographically just the opposite way. And so that's part of the calculus that we have to consider. Are you going to play soccer? Do you think you would play soccer anymore? You know what? I will get I'll get a chair and I will park it right in the middle of the goal, and I'll be the goal. Let me tell you why I said that. And this, you guys in good shape. But the reason I say that is because golf is a multi-generational game. Yes. And I have to play it with my son. At some point, your children are not going to be able to play soccer. I'm in pretty good shape, but I know I play soccer and it's a lot of work at my age, but I can still play golf. I could play golf when I was young, I could play golf, and I plan to play golf when I'm a lot older than I am now. Golf is a multi-generational thing, and, you know, I want to build a community that's diverse. I don't think that we have the opportunity to say, you know, let's help the older generation have a recreation activity too. You're taking it from somebody, and yes, the numbers are down right now, but then the numbers are skewed too, because you have people driving by and that's how they're counting. You have
somebody who's managing the golf course that's not actually recording the numbers are there, because I've been there and he doesn't record, he has to ask me to sign in. So I know he doesn't count everybody that comes in. So because the numbers that we have on record say 128 or however many rounds were played, I don't think those are accurate numbers. I think there's more people to play. I have to just finish off with a couple of things real quick, because I never post on Facebook, but this time I did. And I wanted to know, because I didn't want it to be a personal thing for me. I like golf, and so it should be okay. I want to keep it because it's for me, but I don't. I want to do what's right for the community. So I asked people on Facebook, and I got 30 responses. 28 of them were saying to keep it. You know, some said, listen, Joe Ross, who's been a resident forever, I think he's moved, but he says keep it if it's economically feasible. So there's people that say, you know, if we keep it, let's make sure it works. And so what I'm saying is the same thing. I want to make it work. I don't want to just keep it the way it is, but I want to make it successful. And it's the same as you guys, whoever it was, so that a couple of years ago when you took it over, you said, I want to make soccer successful again. And you worked hard to do that. I want to do that with golf. I don't want it to die out. So that's why I'm saying that. There's a number of other people talked about the high school golf team. You know, there's obviously fewer people on the golf team than the soccer teams, but, you know, there's still other youth that play soccer. So I asked that question on Facebook. I don't always do that, but I wanted to make sure that they heard me say it on the microphone. So they said, you guys don't listen to me. I know Miss Sinclair, she walked, I don't know if she's still here or she left, but she was concerned that we don't listen. We certainly listen. I hope people are listening to what I have to say and my passion for golf and my passion for recreation in general. Thank you.
And I want to finish off by saying that I respect that. I respect, again, all the sports, and I wish that we would have had more representation from the golf world here so that they can tell us their stories. I know there's lots of memories. I've grown up here, and I've seen how the golf course has been used less and less in my lifetime. But again, sometimes people are talking about memories, and unfortunately, memories are not going to get us to where we need to be. We've known, as a council, about the golf course not being financially stable for a while, and I don't recall any other proposals for doing something different that would put us up in a better situation. So, again, I just wanted to bring that up as well. So.
We didn't know we could have this grant money to use for either.
Okay.
If we would have known that 2 months ago, we would have had different thoughts.
I could see us doing this project, but trying to do it as inexpensive as we can, to put some money into because I mean, I grew up with baseball, I grew up with soccer, I grew up with all these different sports, like most of you. But our community needs soccer fields right now. And I understand when people are getting charged to go and open the gates, I mean, we can't do anything for free. And people are getting kind of upset that we're charging people, but I mean, I don't think we should overcharge either, which should be a flat rate, whatever it is, it needs to be paid. But I think the Olive Bowl, I mean, we all went out there and worked, you know, a few Saturdays and brought it up, I thought, to par, but apparently from what they were saying, it's not the same up to par the way it should be. But maybe not putting all the money into this and using Faustino's connections with NDS for the Olive Bowl, I mean, for Harvard Park, but also, you know, getting rid of the bleachers at the Olive Bowl and actually putting bleachers in. I mean, something, because we replace that wood quite often, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we don't have to spend the whole $330,000 or whatever it is on this, but I see this being a viable option to our you know, what we need to do. But I see the baseball, I see the golf, and that's why I kind of brought up that one green, you know, to see if that would be. If we had we were able to drive,
exactly.
If we were able to have a driving range here, I'd want a driving range too.
Yeah, and that is something that we can explore with once we get the recreational district in place. We could have a driving putting green and even have it at night, well lit, those are very popular. But I'm with Danny too. I would love to see some of this grant money, as much as possible, go in to do what we can to help those baseball fields. And bleachers would be fabulous, because we played with my boys out there, and it's rough. It's rough. But I think that this proposal is a very good use for this property.
The bleachers, when we did McDermott, I helped out getting the bleachers brought into that area. We looked for them. They had to be a certain with not the quality, but the safety. I don't know if it was schools or something, the same quality. And they weren't that expensive, and they were aluminum, and I mean they weren't real expensive. So I mean, but we need to get rid of the wood ones and put those in.
And work on the dugouts.
And the dugouts, I mean, we redid also. That's why I can't understand that in 2 years.
Maybe it's
2 or
been
3
longer
years?
than we thought.
Maybe it was.
Time goes by.
Time's flying. But we need, the recreational district would be the channel to be able to figure out how to
If
get
only
money
we could
for
just-
everything.
If only we could just create that, though. I
Yeah.
mean, the voters have to pass
The
that,
voters
and
have
that
to
is
pass
a
it.
hard sell.
But at least a recreational committee to start off with, then we can build a case for recreational.
And there used to
district.
be, if I'm not mistaken, right, Steve? There used to be a rec board.
Yeah, there was an
Way back,
organization,
right?
but it wasn't a district.
It was just a board.
Guess where guess where the recreation department was?
Wasn't it Teen Zone?
It was at the golf shack.
It is at the golf shack. I think that's right.
I would just add, council, just related to the rec district, we talked about that, and recall what the cost was to put a sales tax measure on. You wouldn't be doing a special election, but you need to have the funds to get it on that you may not recruit. I fully support personally having a rec district, but just in every decision we make, we have to keep in mind our current fiscal reality.
Yeah. Well, we'll partner with the hospital board on that.
That'd be great.
Okay, well, I haven't had my say yet, but I would allow Ms. Wisherman to make brief comments.
I'm not here for comments, I want questions. Bill's, when he was making his presentation, said he wanted these soccer fields to be affordable. Right now, there's been nothing in this packet talks about what the soccer groups would be charged. Do you have the impression that you're gonna be charged
Can you
to
talk
use
to
those
us?
fields?
Yes, we don't mind.
Can
Do you have any idea what they'll be?
Okay.
Because that isn't in the packet.
Trudy, can you talk to us, please?
Oh, sorry. I just didn't know, there's no discussion about how these fields are gonna be managed, who's gonna be assessing the fees, checking sure, there's nothing in here about maintenance or the management of the fields. So, I just wanted to make sure we have some idea what the range of affordability is. The other thing is that no budget was presented for you to consider with how the money would be used at the Olive Bowl or Kaku Park.
Because there was no money set for over there. So we're saying.
The money was set for over there, the 300,000 was set for over there, right?
For the.
That's the impression.
If we have money extra, or I mean, we can say, hey, we want to put some money over there.
Oh, I'm sorry, my impression from the agenda materials was that the money was set for use at Olive Bowl and Kaku
Contingent
Park.
on the other grant, right?
Yeah.
Contingent.
And, so,
Well, that's what-
and that's what's supposed to be moved from Olive Bowl, Kaku Park to this project.
That's what our city manager said right at the beginning.
Right, but if it doesn't move, how would that money be used? And that's what I'd be curious, and I think you might want to know what that money could do at Kaku Park if it was left there.
If I may address council, this has gone before council. You know what we were going to do with it. It's, I'm sorry, Ms. Wishman isn't here at every meeting, but you've gone through that. You know what was being proposed.
Okay.
Your turn.
I haven't made my comments yet. My
And I was
turn.
we kept the blink.
This has been hard for me. I admit my heart kind of sank when I saw the proposal because I liked having a golf course there. It's been there my whole memory, and I think it's an asset, though it's one that's underutilized to be sure. And so I feel a little guilty about my heart thinking about it because I know that it's really doesn't pay its way and all that. still, for me, this is like kind of a hasty decision, and I'm uncomfortable with it because, like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden we have to decide what about this golf course that I've been protective of for a while. As we've had other proposals about the golf course, and I'm like, no, it could still be an asset, and you know, people, if we build homes in that area north of it, they might want to use it. It could be a draw for them that there's a golf course here and things like that. But like I say, even though I recognize the fiscal realities, though, and that does carry weight with me, but still my heart finds itself more on Councilman Velasquez's side. And
Nice.
for me, I wish that I'd like to see Harvard Park. Could we just get a good soccer field at Harvard Park? Can we put some money there, put some lights up there so that it could be used longer, and you know, by more people, and also keep some money at the Olive Bowl because it really needs help. I mean, we have these other areas and facilities that could really use some help too. So that's kind of where I'm at. Can we work things out with the district so that it's easier? We spent a lot of money on that soccer. I mean, everyone's complaining that it's hard to work with the high school.
I think you should go to the school board too.
Yeah. I know what you think. I understand. Certainly the soccer moms and dads would love to see this, and could work better for us fiscally. I'm just, like I say, I'm feeling uncomfortable with it tonight as we come down to it.
But, you know, the way we have to think about it too is, you know, we're representing the community. We're not representing just ourselves or what our heart or our mind is thinking. We're representing everybody. So that's something that we have to take
now
into
you do understand, but then everybody, there are people, soccer or baseball or whatever, you have to have a team to play with that. And when, as an adult, an older adult, you're not going to have a team to play on. Golf and things like golf and tennis
Saturday,
and pickleball.
Sunday when I was
That's
out at
something
the
that you
high
can do.
school, there were adult males playing out there. So
We need to be fiscal responsible. Let's face it. Let's be realistic. You
Well-
want us to go to Harvard Park for one field versus 5 fields. One tournament will bring you probably what you make in a whole year of them paying for golf. Come on, let's be realistic. Let's help these babies out.
Well, we understand the position here. We just need as the council.
And no, one of the things that, and I'm gonna go back to what the mayor was saying. I mean, when they said they thought about wanting to put, or somebody that brought up wanting to put houses there.
That was me.
Was that you?
Yep, that was my idea.
I would never lose the green space, regardless if it was golf course or what we're proposing today. Now, I feel the same way, Pam. I mean, I've been driving by there for years. But if you could have came up and said, this is how we're going to do it, this is how we're going to get the revenue to pay for it, I mean, even just mowing the lawns, then I'd be with you 100%. And even with Esteban, I'd be pushing this. We can't do this. But if we can't show how to pay for this to be mowed, for one, but it has to be staffed too. We got to pay for a staff member to be able to run that golf course. And that's kind of where that kind of changed my whole perspective over what was going on. Is how do we pay for this? We can't. I mean, my opinion is we can't. And that makes a big deal.
May I chime in?
That's the last time.
I'm not sure if
Yeah.
you can
Last time.
Yeah,
it's true.
So I'm the one that went over and did the physical analysis on the golf course. And when I went, I asked Mr. Rios for all the records that he had. And he brought out all the records where they keep track of both McDermott members that come and play, and then those that also come from outside the city. We, half the stack, the ones from outside the city, had dates on them, so I knew what kind of time period it covered. The ones from McDermott had no dates. So as we did the analysis, we had a range that stack could have been 1 year or it could have been 4 years because the stack of all the outside city people were 4 years. Thinking the records would be about similar. We've gone with the most conservative look on that. If we're just 1 year, it would have been $900 per person that actually played at the golf course. There was one member of the community that played half the rounds of the golf course through the whole time that I was looking at the information. So the other side of it is that some of the people that worked here or talked here today are people that have been on my staff. And I see what happens with them each day as they come in and tell about their soccer over the weekend. What they didn't say about women's tournament is that it was 3-1. They were losing 3-1 in the first half. And two of the boys that are children of staff members here brought the team back and won the game for them. And I saw one of the kicks from like 40 yards out from a 10-year-old. I've got a 10-year-old, and I was so impressed with how that went. Soccer's a game that you can play with a $7 ball. It costs you $7 to play a round of golf. And so it's something that anyone can play anywhere in the world. That's why it's the greatest game in the world. And so having a facility like this in Lindsay would do a lot to change a lot of lives. It teaches that teamwork, it teaches unselfishness, it teaches a boy that gets his foot stomped on.
Or girl.
Or girl. Well, just the story from this weekend, he got his foot stomped on. He was crying, playing, but he pushed through it and kept going and brought his team through in that victory. That's what soccer does for somebody. It would be, as I see it, I'm like, this would be a fantastic thing to have here in Lindsay.
And
My
that-
2 bits.
Yeah, and then
Thank
that,
you, pardon me.
yeah, it's an excellent point. And I think, there's a lot of good points, and our mayor has some very, very good points, and I think, we're kind of focused on this one sport, like Steve was saying, and it almost sounds like we're trying to exclude the others. But from my point of view, it's just a matter of priorities. And soccer is a big priority. Baseball, softball, is a big priority. But I think especially if we are able to get this recreational district passed, I think we can do Harvard Park. I think we can do a lot of these other facilities. Some of us had talked about the old tennis courts back behind, or I'm not even sure what that is. Yeah,
Old garbage.
And converting those to pickleball. Now you're asking, what in the world is pickleball? Well, it's one of the fastest growing sports for seniors, like me and Steve, that there is.
I don't play pickleball. I eat pickles, but I don't play pickleball.
So there's a lot we can do, but I think this is a unique opportunity, and the time's running out on this grant money, and I mean, we, as a city, as you know, we will never have $250,000 or $330,000 in our budget to do anything like this, and if we can, I'm with Danny, let's get what we can get as conservative as we can. Let's take some monies. Maybe we could do a little bit at Harvard. Maybe we can go to Olive Bowl, and let's see what we can do about getting that place up and running too. Because I know there's a lot of people that love baseball. I'm one of them, and softball too. So that's my 2 cents.
So with all that, can I make a motion?
Let's make sure there's not further discussion that the council wishes to add.
I do want to say one more thing. When we're talking up here, a lot of times the crowd thinks that we're just making hasty decisions, usually. What we're doing here, we've already discussed, I've discussed it with a bunch of people, like Esteban went on Facebook to do it, but I'm always in Lindsay. So I do talk to a lot of people. I don't know if anybody else does. So when we come here and we're listening to everybody, it's not like, oh, we're just going to do it because we want to. It don't matter what anybody says. We've already researched it, and I come and see our city manager, minimum once a week. It might be 2 to 3 times a week, and I'm asking questions, and I'm trying to figure out everything before I come to this meeting. So when I'm listening to you, I'm really listening to you guys, and I'm listening to the council members. But I've already done my homework, and people might not think that way when we approve things. But these meetings, a lot of times, are for business. We need to approve things in a timely manner, we listen to everybody, we take it into consideration, and sometimes people can sway us and get it out of our mind that this is the way it is. And I just want everybody to know that we don't do this lightly.
All right. Thank you. 30 seconds. We're letting everybody comment here tonight.
You got 30 seconds.
Don't walk.
Yeah.
Ron, when it comes to the payment of the usage of the facilities, we don't want it for free. We want it affordable. Right now, I've started charging $40 for every single kid out there. And like the baseball said, they get what they paid for, right? Uniform, coaches, equipment. We don't charge for our time as a volunteer. I don't want to put too much on me, but I spend a lot of hours out there. Today, go to work. I coach middle school soccer. I came here. I had a game. Fortunately, it was canceled, so I'm here. It worked out pretty good. I heard something about you talking to the school. Believe me, I have. I sat with Mr. Rooney. We did accomplish something through him. We got some usage of the fields, but since it's city, we'll go back a little bit. The only fields that we can fit all these kids to play, of course, is the turf fields. We run 5 games at the same time. But I hear this a lot, that the school is in charge of this, the city's in charge of that. So I always get caught in the middle. And it's frustrating, and it's tiring, but I find the strength to keep it going every single day. I've sat with Mr. Sigler, I've sat with Mr. Camarena. When we started using the city park, we went out there and walked the site to make sure it was safe for the kids to be out there. Him and I decided, let's go for it. We started chalking for fields out there, and we've been there. But we're growing so much that we don't all fit there. That's pretty good. That little piece for golf, great. Make it a complex. Not soccer complex, a sports complex. And I think, like I said, the school and the city need to get together and work something out for these kids out here. Thank you.
Is that little piece big enough for what you're suggesting?
Well, it's there. We don't have to spend any money.
Yeah, okay. It's already there, just leave it
I
alone.
mean,
Right.
we'd have to bring it up to maybe put a little fence up or something just to define it. But that's just an idea that I have.
It's a nice compromise.
I don't think.
So,
All right,
You
any more
can go soccer,
discussion?
and you go soccer, you get the golf course. That's just insulting. But just make it park. Just add it as part of the park. Put a fence right there.
So are we done?
So I think that we've concluded. I think everybody's spoke their piece. or
Yeah,
whatever.
I said much as I can say.
So,
I know the struggle.
Yeah. So it's up to council now to decide
I'll
what you
move
want
for,
to do.
I move for approval of the soccer sports park development at City Golf Course.
It's been moved by
As
Councilman
presented or
Cortez.
with the chipping green?
Considering leaving that golf area,
Can we leave it,
Well, you know. we
grade
don't-
everything else for now? And it's not gonna cost us anything to leave it there, right? It's gonna actually cost us less?
This proposal right here doesn't show anything, so.
Correct, with this
she's-
proposal?
Yeah.
As that is?
Now, what about with that small soccer field where, for the really young ones?
I think we
No,
can.
but that's either that or that.
Exactly.
So I think this one would be
This one
best.
would be, okay.
Now I'm confused. Now which one?
The one with the one in green.
Yes.
Yeah, which would
No,
be.
not that one,
Oh,
just
not
that one,
this
that one.
5 fields, not 6. 5 fields, not 6.
Okay, so it's been moved by Councilwoman Cortez that we accept the proposal for the 5-course field.
I'll second.
Seconded by Watson. Would the clerk please take roll?
Councilmember Cortez,
Aye.
Councilmember Watson,
Aye.
Councilmember Velasquez.
Please don't throw anything at me, but I have to vote no.
Mayor Pro Tem Salinas,
Yes.
Mayor Kimball,
I'm totally on the fence, so I'm just going to go ahead and have it represent that we're kind of divided on this and vote no, but clearly it's going to pass.
Abstain.
I could abstain.
You can abstain. You want to abstain?
Madam Mayor.
Yes, we will take a break.
Intermission?
Okay, the motion carries, and we will have we'll take a 5-minute break.
And you get 5 soccer fields.
Yep.
Okay. We're back in business, and hopefully it'll be downhill, but there's still a lot of stuff on here, so I don't know. Okay. Our next item is Resolution 1811, and it's a public hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Conditional use permit number 1804. So, Brian Sponhurst is going to present this to us.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Tonight's presentation is regarding Type 41 ABC license request for O Sushi. They'll be located at the old Straw Hat Pizza location in the Olive Shopping Center. The type for approval requested tonight is for a Type 41 ABC license, which is for beer and wine when it goes along with a food or restaurant setting. The applicant is also requesting permission to operate a karaoke setup. So we'll be talking about that a little bit tonight as well.
You just can't wait.
We have to listen to it. We're ready to approve now. You said the 2 things. We're good to
Let's
go.
schedule a night. We all go down.
Okay, so council does have the option to approve modifications, direct me to obtain additional information, or deny their request. The location, as I mentioned, is in the Olive Shopping Center. So as a beer and wine license only that requires food service, there's no really issues that anticipated for the ABC license itself. A karaoke setup may present potential noise issues, so we'll go over that. Emergency responders, like any alcohol-related setup, they need to be able to see inside the business to maximize their response time. And so our proposed conditions include that food service is primary and the beer and wine sale is secondary. In support of their karaoke request, that food service is available during all business hours. That way, if they move some tables to the side to clear some space for karaoke, they still maintain food service so it doesn't turn into a karaoke bar. That shades and window coverings are to be removed or raised at all times except during periods of direct sunlight. They do face west, and so they will experience that from time to time. And that no tinting or other covering allowed to obstruct the view through the windows, again, to maximize response time in the event of emergency. And that to address the karaoke request, that just the noise ordinance requirements apply. So as long as they're quiet, before 10 o'clock, then they're good to go. I mean, with the doors closed, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. I think they just have the Orangewood apartments to the east to really worry about as far as residents. I think it should be okay without any huge issues, but we'd of course monitor that and report back as needed and make some adjustments if we need to. And so with that, before we open the public hearing, I'd like to entertain any questions.
I do have a question on the 10 o'clock.
I believe
we have bars and other establishments that are able to have music. I mean, as long as they keep it at a...
Yeah, so the 10 o'clock is when the levels shift from how loud you can be. And so even though after 10 o'clock the noise levels are reduced, you have to be quieter, there's still a threshold there available. And the fact is, with no residential areas really around the existing bars, it's kind of a non-issue. And it's really just complaint driven. And so that's the only main concern is the Orangewood apartments to the east. And so if we do receive complaints, we can make modifications, adjust, and make sure that they're not creating a nuisance to those residents.
It's quite a distance though, because you have you have that parking lot behind.
Yes. So
then you have a wall. Yep. Then you have some more parking lot and that apartment side before you actually get.
They'd have to try pretty darn hard to.
The only condition I would add is that Mayor Pro Tem Murray, Salinas not sing. We could add that in there, then I would.
He's actually heard me
I've heard him sing for a long time.
I have a question. Is a restaurant a chain restaurant, or is it like a sole proprietor, or?
That's the question.
From what I understand, it's a family-owned establishment. They have one other location in the LA area. It's not essentially a franchise per se, but it is family-run, and they're pretty excited to bring another option to Lindsay, and so
Do
am
they
I.
have family up here, or?
They do not, not that I'm aware of at least. But they seem to be able to make the trek. They apologize for not being able to make it tonight, but due to weather and the grapevine, it was just kind of challenging to make it here. But they are very interested in extending their establishment here to Lindsay. Couldn't tell you what brought them here, but we're glad they're here.
I think it was the golf course.
We mean
Probably
the
the
sushi
golf
place.
Probably, yeah, probably the golf course. But I think, if this sports complex on the west side of 65 goes in.
Yeah, maybe they know those people.
Yeah, I think we will see a lot of this kind of interest.
Anyway, okay, any other questions from council? This is a public hearing, so I will at this time open up the public hearing and ask if there is anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this proposal. Seeing no one, I would invite anyone who wishes to speak against this proposal to come forward. And seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and bring it back before the council for any further discussion or...
Brian, is there a timeline on when they're wanting to open?
They're looking to open as soon as possible. I know they're trying to marry it up nicely with when their ABC license is all processed and gone through. I'm not aware of many drastic changes they're looking to make inside. They're looking to keep it pretty simple. So hopefully just as soon as the ABC license is approved and processed, they're looking to open.
No other questions? What action would council like to take?
I move for approval of resolution 1811, conditional use permit number 1804 to establish a new restaurant that would include the sale of alcohol in the central commercial district. Because I don't want to be the bad guy all night.
And I'll second that.
It's been moved by Councilman Velasquez, seconded by Councilwoman Cortez, that we approve resolution 1811. Would the clerk please take roll?
Councilmember Velasquez.
Aye.
Councilmember Cortez.
Aye.
Councilmember Watson.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Salinas.
Aye.
And Mayor Kimball.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Next item is resolution 1812, contract year temporary 215 water service contract presented by Mike Camarena.
Thank you, Mayor Kimball and council. This is similar to other years' opportunity in that in order to take advantage of temporary 215 water, council must review and approve the agreement that's set forth before them. 215 water is essentially defined as unstorable water to be released due to flood control criteria or unmanaged flood flows. If you'd asked me a couple weeks ago, but however, as of yesterday, Millerton Lake's at about 64% capacity. And so with increased runoff from the last few days' rain, plus projected rain and snow that's coming, there's a possibility that Section 215 water may become available. But without contract in place, the City of Lindsay will not be able to take advantage of it. In the staff report, it identifies that the cost per acre foot is approximately $36 compared to this year's cost of water on our Class 1 contract, $48 per acre foot. So the expectation is if 215 water is available, it's going to be for a short time frame. It could be that deliveries need to be made before the 1st of April or before the 1st of May. There's a very short window of opportunity of this water if it is available as well. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions?
Sorry, do we know about how many acre feet we might have available?
No, that's based on capacity at Millerton and then inflows versus what the Bureau feels and the Corps of Engineer feels is a safe yield of release. It was last year that you saw water going over the top. And we're not in that condition, I don't think, but there is no way to earmark X amount of acre feet.
Where would we store it if we
The city of Lindsay wouldn't store it. We would
Thank you.
process
Take it in and
well, we
use
would
it.
process it through our water treatment plant, and just looking at the cost, it's about a $12 per acre foot savings
Right.
if we were to utilize the temporary water, 215 water. Plus, we're able to stretch our class 1 water,
Right.
which the allocation came out last week. We're at 30%. And so that allows us to stretch our allocation out a little bit further over the course of time.
All right, any other questions? What action would council like to take?
Move for approval.
Moved by Salinas, seconded by Watson. Would the clerk please take roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Salinas.
Aye.
Councilmember Watson.
Aye.
Councilmember Velasquez.
Aye.
Councilmember Cortez.
Aye.
Mayor Kimball.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Next item is ordinance number 563. Adding to the municipal code. And we get to hear from Chief Hughes tonight.
And our code.
Hold your applause, please.
So I will not be doing the presenting tonight. We are going to allow Marcia Buelna to do the presentation. She is our code enforcement officer. She's here tonight to meet you and stand before you and do these resolutions. I lied to her on the way over. I told her there'd be nobody in this room, so she almost threw up when she got here.
It's better now.
But I know she'll do a great job, or I wouldn't have recommended her for employment. So here's Marcia.
Good evening, council. Okay, so I'm going to be presenting administrative citations, chapter 1.18, sections 1.18.010 through 1.18.150. Okay. City goals: to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of Lindsay, to gain compliance with this code and state codes in a timely and efficient manner, to hold parties responsible when they are in violation of the municipal code, to minimize the expense and delay and pursue responsible parties, to provide for an administrative process to appeal citation and fines. The authority: any person violating a City of Lindsay municipal code may be issued an administrative citation by an enforcement officer. Each and every day a violation exists may result in a citation. Related citation fees will be paid directly to public safety. Penalties: unless specified stated otherwise, each violation will be considered an infraction. For the first violation, it would be $100. Second violation, $200. Each additional violation would be $500. Building and safety code violations: $100 for the first violation, $500 for the second violation, and $1,000 each additional violation. Service procedure: if the code enforcement officer cannot get a hold of the responsible person in violation, a notice warning will be sent via certified mail. Should the notice be unsuccessful, a citation will be sent via certified mail and posted on the property. If still unsuccessful, the code enforcement officer has the option to issue a citation each day the violation continues. Citation fine procedure: fine is due to the city within 15 working days from the citation issue date. All fines are payable to the City of Lindsay. Payment of a fine does not correct the violation. If the responsible person fails to correct the violation, additional citations may be issued for the same violation. The fine for failure to correct the violation will increase daily to a maximum of $500 per day. Appeal procedures: pay the full amount of fine to request a hearing within 15 days from when the citation was issued. Complete and submit a request for hearing form within 15 days from when the citation was issued. Any fine that has been paid in full will be refunded, should it be determined there was no violation.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
On that one? When you, a hearing with who? Is that not a court hearing, or just a?
Brian?
Brian Farmer, citation officer
Yeah.
for the, what's the committee called?
Quality of life.
Quality of Life Committee.
Okay. I just didn't know who was doing it. Okay. Thank you, sorry.
It's okay. Appeal procedures. The hearing will be held within 15 to 16 working days from when the appeal request is received. The person requesting the hearing will be notified of the time and place set for the hearing at least 10 working days prior to the date of the hearing. Failure to pay fines. City may pursue small claims court, any other legal remedy available. The city may also recover all of its collection costs, including its attorney's fees. Benefits and impacts. Benefits include increased public health, safety, and welfare of Lindsay. The city will not have to rely on county resources. Many issues will be resolved using less city time and resources through creating faster results. Potential impacts include increased staff time and resources to identify code violations throughout the community.
Are we doing all of them? Or?
Do you want?
Well, I had a question about we went through some extent with the finances to be going into one area and all of the money be at finance. Like, doesn't everything go there now?
So
You put things in place to make sure that all the money got to
yes,
your office.
there is a credit card processing machine at Public Safety they can do, and then if they do, right, if there's cash funds, they're coming around to the finance department.
Okay.
And where does that money go back to?
So it's gonna log into the general fund under
Okay.
the public safety section of the general fund, under the fines and revenues.
To be used for public safety?
Yes.
To support.
So currently, like, I know for a while we didn't have a code enforcement officer, so it wasn't happening, right? And now, okay.
And with this administration citation procedure here, this gives her the ability to do that. As it stands right now, we just have an officer come out and write the ticket for her. So, takes up more officer time, so she can.
So it gives her some.
She's got a little more training to go with that, but that's what we hope to get her.
So, as far as there's no warnings to anything?
There is warnings that I have gave out to people, more verbal warnings.
But nothing on that we're doing, because it started right out with the $100 fine. So are you giving them any warnings or?
I'm giving them warnings and 14 days to correct the violation. A lot of them have corrected the violations. I went from 150 people that I gave verbal warnings to down to 20 people.
Nice.
So.
But we don't need to have it in this at all?
She does have.
I think it might be in
or
there
is it later?
somewhere.
She does have a citation that she can issue as a verbal warning.
Oh, okay.
Or documents it and allows her to follow it up. That one. And it also goes back to the committee and all that stuff.
Good
There's
job.
a paper trail with
Thank
all
you.
that stuff.
Who's part of that quality of life committee?
Marcia, Brian.
And our building inspector.
I think that was something that was brought up about budget time last year. I think Councilmember Velasquez talked about having something like that. So we've had it going for a year now, nearly so.
And so you're gonna move on to the firework
Yes.
next? Okay.
So fireworks violations. Chapter 8.22, Section 8.22.140.
Does council want to vote on that first?
So
need to vote on
that's
it?
my question. I mean, if we're moving on, then we need to take them all at once. But these are ordinances, so we have to go through the whole ordinance.
Each one?
This is like a first reading
Yes.
and.
Correct,
Okay.
it's a first reading.
Just one quick question on the, there's a process there, small claims court where, you might get a judgment, but good luck trying to get the money from them. Can we put liens on properties too?
Yeah, once you get a judgment, you can put a lien on there. It'll sit there until they sell property.
Right.
And of course, there has to be enough to pay everybody off before you, but whoever else is in front of you.
Right.
For, most people have a mortgage on their property.
Right.
As long as there's extra enough to cover your lien, you'll get paid.
Good, okay.
Well, apparently, as I read it, maybe if you want to have a hearing on it, you have to pay the money first up front, and it kind of sits there until the judge decides which way it goes. Is that right?
We're correct.
Yeah, I think that's a different circumstance.
That's a different circumstance.
And a different judge.
Yeah, so on the appeal, on the local appeal level, we call that like an administrative appeal. So, if the code enforcement officer went out to my house and said, hey, this car that you have out here, it's not operable, and it's been sitting here forever, you have to move it, and eventually, it's a day or whatever, but I get fined at that $100. I could appeal to the quality of life and say, hey, it was only a day, and they say, no, you were in violation of the code, so you gotta pay the $100. Okay. Well, if I hold on to that $100 and I just don't pay it, then you would go to small claims. If it was a significant issue with code, maybe you're not pulling building permits or something like that, where it's a substantial amount of money that's racking up the $500 a day, then you would take it to just a regular superior court, and then eventually you turn that into a judgment and put the lien on it.
Very good.
But the fine could increase like each day you don't leave your car, right?
Right,
Yes.
correct.
Well, when do you tow it?
After 72 hours.
And I've heard really good things about that, just so you know. Like a lot of, you going out there and talking to people, and then by the next day, they've taken care
Yeah,
of
there's
them.
been a lot of those people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to be more towards working with people than just
Right.
writing tickets.
Yeah.
That's not the goal.
Yeah, that's the best way.
In most cities, the goal is compliance, not
Yeah.
writing the fines and
Correct.
collecting $1,100 fines that you can never collect on it.
Okay, this is the first reading of ordinance number 563. Was there a motion?
Motion to approve.
We're gonna do the ordinance.
We have to
Do the whole thing?
the whole
From the
deal.
first one. Which one? Okay, I propose that the council declare the first reading of ordinance number 563, adding municipal code chapter 1.18 administrative citations, sections 1.18.010 through 1.18.150 to enforce municipal codes within the city and waive the reading of the ordinance in full.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Would the clerk please take roll?
Councilmember Cortez,
Aye.
Councilmember Watson,
Aye.
Councilmember Velasquez,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Salinas,
Aye.
and Mayor Kimball.
Aye. First reading is approved, 5-0. Next item is ordinance number 564 concerning fireworks.
Okay, fireworks violations, chapter 8.22, section 8.22.140. Prohibited acts. Fireworks must be safe and sane and shall be approved by the state fire marshal. Cannot light fireworks within 200 feet of fireworks stands. Cannot light any fireworks within 10 feet of any resident property. Violations. Violations of this code is subject to administrative citations. Provides localized method of enforcing the municipal code.
What about aerials?
Anybody.
Well, those are illegal anyways. Those are illegal.
You can't use an aerial firework.
All right, so do we have a dollar amount of a fine that we're going to,
The administrative citation, 100,
only 100?
200 under the 500.
Okay, because I know some places have $1,000.
Right, ours is based on the charter, what the charter says in the fine schedule there. We'd have to redo that whole thing if you want to start.
You have to redo the whole charter? How can a
Well, not the
charter
charter,
have?
but the fine schedule.
Oh, the fine schedule.
Fine schedule.
But that could be redone.
Oh, we
I
can
mean,
do it, yeah,
that's-
absolutely.
It can be.
Just specifically for aerial fireworks or fireworks in general.
For illegal fireworks.
Illegal fireworks, right. Because, as you guys
One's
know.
going off
Oh my
a month
gosh.
after the 4th of July is over.
We get firework complaints every weekend.
Oh, yeah.
They're not unique to summertime.
So if council likes, we can go with this. If you're okay with the rest of the language, we can take a look at the fine structure, amend that as necessary, and bring that back to you. And if it requires some tweaking in this, we can do that as well. Or we can hold on, whichever you prefer.
I think it's gonna be hard enough to enforce it anyway, because how do you get people, you know, when they're setting off fireworks? But if they know that it could be $1,000 fine, that could be a deterrent at least.
Yeah, for the homeowner.
500 or what, but something significant.
We gotta have the
That was
homeowner lighting fireworks.
Well, not this one ordinance. It was the homeowner.
Getting away with that.
Yeah.
Unless they're doing it on their property.
Well, yeah.
Carpet owner.
Yeah.
That was one of the big deals over there was.
Exactly.
Was actually catching them on their property doing it.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Well, how some are structured is they were set to the homeowner, I mean, basically the residents in front of wherever they were being set off, if you could not find the person that was actually doing it.
Exactly.
And so what ends up happening is you have neighbors start ratting on each other because they don't want the $1,000 fine and, you know, $1,000 lien put on their property.
Well, I guess we can start out with this and we'll see how it goes. I suppose.
I think we might need more of a deterrent than $100 fine. If you can afford all those aerial things, it's another $100.
And you will be very busy.
Yes, I will.
That's where cameras would come in really handy, Chief. Yeah.
Not everybody's home.
No, just around general.
I propose that the council declare the first reading of ordinance 564, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Lindsay amending Title and Health and Safety, Chapter 8.22 Fireworks, Section 8.22.140 violations of the Lindsay Municipal Code pertaining to fireworks, and waive the reading in full.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. With the clerk, please take roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Salinas,
Aye.
Councilmember Cortez,
Aye.
Councilmember Velasquez,
Aye.
Councilmember Watson,
Aye.
Mayor Kimball,
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
We'll come back to you with the increased fines and the property and all that stuff.
Thank you. Ordinance number 565.
Smoking regulations, chapter 8.05. Smoking and tobacco use in city parks. City parks will be smoke-free, protects the public from the harms of secondhand smoke, prevent people, particularly children and youth, from starting to use tobacco. Prohibited acts. Lighted or burning tobacco-related product or any other lighted weed or plant. Chewing tobacco or other tobacco-related products. Littering of any smoking-related product. Definition of city park. City park means any outdoor area owned or operated by the city and open to the general public. City park shall also include public parking lots. The definition shall not apply to any public street located outside of a city park. Benefits and impacts. Benefits include tobacco-free parks that provide families and children healthy environments in which they are not exposed to the health harms of secondhand smoke, no cigarette butts or other tobacco litter. Potential impacts to the city include increased staff time to monitor city parks.
Okay, any questions on this one?
Is that plant?
Yeah, weed.
Right, so we all know, is that
Okay.
covers
Cannabis.
all kinds, okay.
Vapor?
Those are chewing it.
Does that include vapor?
Smoking.
Yeah.
Guess we could get into an argument there, but I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in that mood. I'm in that mood.
Does that include that, or?
I did not look to see how it was written. Typically it does.
Okay.
She
So
mentioned
vaping is part of
weed
it.
and other plants.
Anything that creates
So,
smoke?
I mean, weed.
That might need an amendment.
Because that's a big
That's
deal.
one of the other
Right?
slides. Let's see. No. Okay, so next one.
Prohibited acts.
Prohibited.
I think it's the next, right there.
Smoke free.
Other lighted weed or plant.
Lighted or.
Lighted or
lighted.
burning tobacco
Because
related.
you don't light that,
Or any
the
other
e-cigarettes, right?
lighted
You don't light them?
I don't know.
No.
We
they're
light the
like
oil,
electric,
no, electronic. Wire.
I don't
Yeah.
know how it works.
We're getting into Mario.
That's why I asked.
Mario's chicken.
We're looking.
So, yeah, so I think that
I
that's,
mean, we could add vaping.
I don't,
So that's big.
do we want to?
Yeah.
And they try to make as
So
much
cheap.
smoke as possible. I think they even have competitions for it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, some people are switching, we have some friends that switch from tobacco smoking traditional way to using electronic cigarettes or vaping to kind of get away from it. So it's like,
Yeah, I think it needs to, if the council's intent is to prohibit vaping or use of smokeless tobacco, is sometimes what it's called, then it needs to be more clear in the ordinance.
Okay. Or smokeless products.
How
Because it's
about
not
the people who
necessarily.
smoke out front of the Mount Whitney and the.
Can we amend it now?
On the
Yeah.
sidewalk. This includes
So-
those,
I don't
or-
think this
I mean, this is
includes
not
them.
city parks, or that's not city parks, so, okay.
I think other streets are. Okay.
how about when we close
Slide,
like
it's a
the
previous
farmer's
slide.
market?
Can you go to
Is
the
that-
previous slide, please?
The,
Really?
no, then the following one,
Well,
the following one.
We're mostly on the city street.
There, right there, right there.
Okay.
Because it's the possession of the minded for burning tobacco, or on the.
What's the little park over
Other
there?
related
Fountain?
tobacco
Well, yeah, there's
products.
lots,
But that's not tobacco, there's no
Yeah.
tobacco.
Super.
Yeah, super.
So chewing tobacco, tobacco-related products or other,
Or any electronic
It-
cigarette,
it
or any
has to be
electronic
up here
device.
Because all these are talking about lighted or burning tobacco related products, including the pipes, so it needs to be.
How about any electronic device?
Electronic smoke.
Are you looking at the resolution?
We are. Got the ordinance, yeah.
How about if it's just an app on my phone? Can I
Is vaping not
smoke
tobacco related?
screen or
Like
There's no
oils
tobacco
or
in there.
something?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's tobacco.
It's some
Vaping
sort of
device.
nicotine oil, right?
So
Yeah, but
if
that's
the-
not related, it's not related to the tobacco?
Yeah, so if the council, we can propose some language if that's what the council wants right now. But that's up to the council. I can give you the language if that's what you wanna do.
If you want to
It's
include.
kind of a tough one, because they're trying to change their ways and go to the
Hopefully.
e-cigarettes, but now those are even bad.
Oh, yeah.
I know,
I
there's
mean,
problems with those too, and then you wanna be coming up trying to figure out if they're vaping or if they're smoking
If you think about what
tobacco.
you're wanting to achieve, what drove this was a complaint by some parents on one of our coffees in the park. And they said they bring their children to play the play equipment and you have parents stand there smoking
Oh, yeah.
while the
Tossing
children
in
are
their
playing.
butts,
You're in an outdoor area, I think the impact is minimal. You can address vaping if you want to, I don't see it really having an impact. I guess if it becomes a problem, we can come back to it.
Yeah.
I would include vaping only because it's not everybody just vapes. Some people put honey oil in that, that's marijuana.
Well, the reason I even brought it up is for enforcement issues. So if you're saying there's no tobacco smoking in the park, and officers or somebody's going by, you're driving by and you see somebody with smoke, it's like, oh, I need to go give them a ticket, and then they're vaping. So it's like, okay, do I give them a ticket or not, or a citation, or a warning, or whatever.
Or is
So
there gonna be an
it's-
argument about it later, when he goes to the appeal,
Yeah.
you know?
I think if the chief says we should put vaping on.
I think so too, because we won't know, and then they'll always claim it's not,
Right.
you know?
That'll be an out for them, yeah.
They can vape on the sidewalk by the street.
Yeah.
Go over there.
Or in the middle of the street.
I know you're right, Mario, but it just looks like burning tobacco or tobacco-related product or any other,
Right there.
yeah. Lighted smoking device, vaping device, comma, weed or plant. Smoking device, vaping device, weed or plant, that actually could work.
That's in there now.
If you want to review anything else while Mario composes that.
I'm done.
It's done, okay. Any other?
Okay, oh, that's perfect. Okay, so, in the very first sentence of prohibited acts, what I came up with is you'd say the possession of a lighted or burning tobacco or tobacco-related product or any other smokeless tobacco, vaping device, e-cigarette, any other wording, chief, that AKAs that we should put in? And then just continue it on, or any other lighted weed or plant.
So just insert that there.
Causes a nuisance, right?
What do you?
I think you're good.
Yeah. You want that?
Are you okay with that language?
Do we need the
Do we need
nuisance
the as
language?
causes a nuisance, or are we just, I mean, do we have to, at
Who's
least
to
want to
say
try to
whether or not-
figure out whether they're
Just
being a
leave that
nuisance
part
or
out.
not?
Leave it out.
Yeah.
So what Mario had was, it
Who's
starts,
what's a
Yeah.
nuisance about?
Well, because it's not that, if somebody's by themselves and nobody else is in the park, it's not a it can't be a nuisance.
Right.
But you still want to prohibit that because you don't want them just going when nobody's at the park.
Okay.
so you have tobacco-related product in the first sentence, or any other smokeless tobacco, vaping device, e-cigarette, and then you continue, or any other lighted.
Okay.
Good with that language?
I'm good with that.
And I can go read that.
Okay, so
Okay,
we go,
we ready?
yeah. So yes, I propose that the council declare the first reading of ordinance number 565 at section of the municipal code, chapter 8.05 smoking regulations, section 8.05.170 smoking and tobacco use in city parks to prohibit smoking within the city parks and waive the reading of the ordinance in full.
As amended.
As amended.
Second.
Been moved by Watson, seconded by Cortez. Would the clerk please take roll?
Just read some chicken scratch for a second. Alright, so that was, Councilmember Watson,
Aye.
Councilmember Cortez,
Aye.
Councilmember Velasquez,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Salinas,
Aye.
and Mayor Kimball.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Next item is ordinance number 566, having to do with weapons discharge.
Okay, discharge of weapons, Chapter 9, Title 9, Chapter 12, Section 9.96. Definition of weapon: rifle, pistol, shotgun, air gun, or pellet gun, slingshot, crossbow, bow and arrow. Any other instrument used for discharging projectiles that are capable of doing bodily harm. Purpose of this code: to prohibit the discharge of weapons in and into those areas of the city of Lindsay. Exceptions: does not apply to any public officer in their duties, any person acting in lawful defense of person or property, premises of any shooting range, field, or gallery designed with safeguards to protect person and property from injury.
Do we have one of those?
We have one below the old
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Napa?
Oh, Napa.
Yeah. Fat boys now.
Oh,
It's
seriously?
not used anymore. We used to shoot that
Oh.
years ago.
Apparently we're shooting you on the outside now.
Benefits and impacts. Benefits include providing a safe environment for individuals without the possibility of firearms being present, discharged, or used for any unnecessary purpose. Potential impacts for the city of Lindsay would be increased staff time and resources to enforce this code.
Okay. Questions? Comments? Everybody has to put their slingshots away.
I know, man.
I play to kids too.
Those crossbows. Okay, I propose that the council declare the first reading of ordinance 566 at section to the municipal code, Title 9, Public Peace, Morals, and Welfare, Chapter 7, Weapons, Section 9.96, discharge to prohibit discharge of any weapon within the city of Lindsay, and waive the reading of the ordinance in full.
Second.
Been moved by Watson, seconded by Salinas. Would the clerk please take roll?
Councilmember Watson,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Salinas,
Aye.
Councilmember Velasquez,
Aye.
Councilmember Cortez.
Aye.
Mayor Kimball.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. All right, you got your duties before you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
No, go
So
ahead.
when we did Measure O, we really wanted
Code enforcement?
yeah. And we haven't really had a chance to meet you for one, but actually, if we can give what we had problems with to Southville and kind of relay them that way. Because there's, trailers in town, there's forklifts in town, there's cars with blown out tires in roads. That's kind of why that was one of my reasons for having a code enforcement officer. The building stuff like that, I didn't really worry about because the inspector and stuff would do that. But hanging the clothes on fences, there's stuff I see all day long, and that's where I want to do. I don't know if anybody else has any problems like that, but I'd like to.
Earlier, I think when she first got hired or something, there was something on the city Facebook thing, like, here's a number to contact. I don't know if it was like the main city number or what, like if you need assistance. So is that what the protocol would be? We call the city or something, call the city and report?
You can always reach out to me, I work for you.
No, but like anybody else, like.
Anybody else can, I believe they can contact you directly, can't they? Or do they have to go through dispatch?
I have a cell phone number, a work cell phone number.
She's available.
I'm not like previous, so if you wanna call her direct and ask her questions or have her focus on issues, as long as they're lawfully, things like that, of course.
Well, there's the reporting place on the website,
I would encourage that.
right? Isn't it?
I'd have to take a look at the new website. We want it to be as dynamic as possible. We weren't able to afford the full app.
Right,
for the
but
phone.
I was looking at it today, and there was a place to report issues.
There was, okay.
So, I don't know where that goes. I think it goes to,
I think we have to set an email for that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it goes to
yeah,
Maria's or Carmen's or mine or the city.
You have to
clerk.
verify
I'm not
that, you
sure.
can.
yeah.
That's kind of where I was at.
I look forward to seeing some YouTube videos, like they do with Adriana, that she does with that safety thing. She's doing it, the bike safety, the round of, I don't know, she did some other videos, right? And I think you might consider that, with the code enforcement, let people know in why she's coming out there and what kind of things we're looking at. This is not okay.
Councilmember Velasquez to be the actor.
No.
I'll be happy to.
I don't want the focus to be about me. I want to focus on the problem. So, but I think it'd be a great idea. I think a good way to get the message out,
Yeah,
right?
that'd be good.
I think it works well with some of the other things with texting. and
Always
stuff.
put cars on the
Karaoke bar when Danny's singing.
Yeah.
Do a demonstration.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's cars on the lawn, that's
That's
if you
easy.
show them being
Yeah.
towed on a video, they're gonna
Yeah.
Get the point.
But it's still not everybody does YouTube, not everybody does the emailing. That's why I was trying to figure out how to get a hold. Through Chief, I understand that, through Bill, for us, because we have more access, I guess.
Yeah.
But, the regular Joe out there trying to figure out, okay, how do I get this done?
Well,
Whether there's chickens that are,
I see
roosters
that.
that are making too much
part
noise.
of the issue is when they're able to call her directly, they may be hitting her with something that's not legal for her to do, or a problem that's not a responsibility. Then if she's not responsive to it, you don't have the checks and balances in place where the city never listens. And so we have a negative condition report they can fill out. I believe that can be automated to be online. It's good so that we know who we're dealing with. We can give them some feedback. If they're leaving a voicemail, they may say, hey, this is going, and we get those kinds of complaints already.
That's true.
So the checks and balances are good, I think, for you. We don't want it to make it any more cumbersome than it has to be for people. And we will react. In fact, I sent word to her about illegal phone sales happening downtown. I went to lunch on my way back. She was out there, hands on hips, talking to them. The next thing I knew, they were gone.
All
It
right.
wasn't a big
Thank you.
fight or anything. It was handled very delicately, very
Yeah.
appropriately. And as the chief says, we want to diffuse wherever we can.
Right.
I'd still like to see us get a cell phone with one number that that you answer it once a day or,
She has that.
Yeah.
But it's not your phone number. It's a phone number that the residents can call and voice.
Like a hotline?
Yeah.
A hotline. There's an app for it, but we don't have any money, so.
Yeah. No, I have a work
That
phone.
is unique to her in that job.
Yeah.
We posted it on the city website.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
on us.
So that's it.
Okay.
Her voice
It's
mailbox is constantly full.
Yes.
Constantly taking calls.
And I just went to a website and I emailed somebody that says, thank you, your message has been sent. It was just a test though, but I did.
We'll see who
I filled
gets
that.
it.
Yeah.
Right tomorrow.
Yeah.
I've been getting those all day.
Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's $75.
You'll be hearing from me.
Yeah, he's gonna be really best for those.
I'll make sure your number's put
Yeah, if this guy's calling, do not answer.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Very
Thank you,
happy.
Marcia. Good job.
You're making
Bye.
progress here. All right, next item is that TCAG Measure R Amendment Settlement Agreement presented by Bill Ziegler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Honorable Council. City staff recommends that the council authorize the mayor to sign the amended settlement agreement. The city has reached out to TCAG, Tulare County Transportation Authority, requesting a review of and revision of the 2012 Measure R settlement agreement. The TCTA approved the request and has amended the 2012 settlement agreement, which was attached to your package, to waive interest going forward. It also granted the city a forbearance from making its quarterly installment payments for 4 consecutive quarters, beginning with the first installment due after the First Amendment to the settlement agreement becomes effective. Assuming the forbearance will begin with the quarterly installment due on April 1st, 2018, city is expected to resume making quarterly installment payments on April 1st, 2019. With that, I'd be happy to answer your questions.
What difference did the elimination of the interest make in our quarterly payment?
It's about $4,000 a quarter.
And this basically just extended the time
by a year.
1 year, right? Just added a year on the end. Okay.
I think just for the record that, I want to apologize that the way it was reported out that I read was that I was unappreciative of what TCAG was doing in this whole process. And I certainly am not. I certainly appreciate anything that they do for us, and that wasn't my intent to sound like I wasn't appreciative of that. So.
Yeah, I think the way
Pam
it was
is-
reported was not quite fair, really, so.
Well, I'm not gonna say anything against the
that part
people
of the
with the
recorder?
pen. I'm just saying that where I stand from, and if you can let Mr. Ted know about that, and I certainly appreciate what they're doing and what
I
they've
did
done for
have
us.
some questions about that at the TCAG meeting. Like, how does the council feel? They read the paper and thought we're all upset, and I was
Right.
like, we're
That's-
good, we're
well-
cool, just a little frustration from the whole thing going back to when it first started, but we appreciate any concessions being made.
There could have been a lot more said.
Yeah.
They could have done a lot more to help us, but
Yeah,
we are grateful for what
exactly,
they
you know.
did do for us.
Don't write anything down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good with it.
we
We're
don't
done.
need anything goes in the paper.
Anyways,
You erase that from?
I think
I think we need a motion.
Need a
to-
motion?
We need a motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'll
moved.
move. Oh, second.
I gotta move for approval. I
Okay,
have to.
moved by Velasquez, and seconded by Watson.
It's gotta be me. Redeem myself.
Is this just a, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Absolutely.
And then that motion carries. And, is this our last item, or do I need to turn the page? and-
No, we still got another item.
Yeah. A few more, oh, yes, okay. So, review, anybody need a break?
Nope.
We're okay? Review of Lindsay High School Stadium Joint Use Agreement, presented by Bill Ziegler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. So, as you heard from some of our soccer organizers tonight, there has been difficulty in having access to fields. I've met with a few of you over frustrations about how recreation works, and a whole lot of finger pointing going both ways. And so I thought it was time to go through this MOU, this agreement with council, and share with you some concerns that I have, and to get some direction from you about how you want this relationship with the school district to continue. I've had Lisa Davis working with the athletic director, with the facilities director, and she met with Mr. Rooney today. And in many cases, we're not doing a good job out there. We have a very detailed agreement that puts a lot of responsibility on the city that I frankly can't do. I don't have the staff to do. We don't have the financial resources to do. So it's time to take a hard look at this.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, I can go through it all, but in 2017, we declared a fiscal crisis. That's reality. That's where we are. And the school district in particular, Mr. Rooney is keenly aware of this. I've had this conversation with him many times, and the pressures that having this agreement puts on the city. So just kind of starting with item B there, toward the bottom of that first page, city will provide financing, installation of field turf, well that's done, and related landscaping, and ongoing maintenance is the key, and groundskeeping services necessary to jointly operate the stadium and athletic fields at the Lindsay High School. Scroll it up, please. And my comments are in italics. The city is not in a financial position to provide the ongoing maintenance and groundskeeping services necessary, on and on and on. This requirement should be reevaluated. Item 4A, a designated city employee shall be responsible for locking and unlocking the facility. We can do it. It's just we can't gift that. And that's some of the pushback we're getting from some of the people doing league work out there. That was a little bit of the baseball complaint there, is we had to send people out there. And I learned from Lisa, that person worked alongside them the whole time they were out there over the weekend. And they think that they shouldn't have to pay for things. We don't have the ability to gift it unless we come up with some other funding source. The same thing here.
But this is, pardon me, but this is, you're referring to the Olive Bowl, not the turf.
Correct, but the commonality is in general, we have adults here in this community that are passionate about their sports, and they don't think they should have to pay for it. We brought Lisa on, and she's doing an analysis of everything that we do.
Right.
And we don't have the ability to gift a thing.
Right.
Because we can't spend money we don't have. And so she's looked at things, and she's been as reasonable as she can about field use. In some cases, she has waived the fee to use the field because they are. Faustino has been doing cleanup out there. So we say, okay, then we have to have, and we'll go through it here, but whenever there is any sort of activity happening on those sports fields at the high school site, this agreement requires us to have a staff person, an adult staff person, on hand the entire time they are there, whether it's a practice, whether it's a game, regardless, we've got to have somebody there. We don't have the ability to gift that.
Yeah,
and it's a bit of a change. It's always been in the agreement, but laxly enforced with our residents. And so we're getting pushback now. We never had to do that before. Yeah, because we weren't keeping up with it.
Bill, can I interject something here before we move on to all the specifics? Because I was reading through, as I read through the contract, I didn't see where there was a termination to terminate the contract or the agreement.
It's dicey, and Mario and I will have to work on that if that's the direction you want me to go. My personal suggestion is that you decide what you're okay with, what you're not okay with, and I go back and visit with Mr. Rooney. I don't think it's in their best interest to terminate this, but the status quo is not doable, and we don't want to agree to something we can't do.
Well, so
there is, but it talks about declaring bankruptcy or something like that in there. Yeah.
Well, we declared fiscal emergency. I mean, it's not a bankruptcy, but it's to me. I think when I was looking at it, my first inclination was to terminate the agreement, and we lose access to those facilities. But we're we need to focus on the facilities we can make change on, like the Olive Bowl and the park, and now we have the whole soccer complex that we're going to do. If we build these soccer fields the way you guys have approved them.
You mean the council approved? Yes, sir.
The way they approved it, then you're going to, ideally move all those people from the high school soccer fields over to the other soccer fields.
Right.
Right?
Well,
So then we're still gonna have this agreement to do this stuff with them when we're not gonna have people coming over there.
That's why at a minimum it needs amending, at a minimum.
What's that?
I don't, yeah, it needs amending, that's what he said.
And then it's my understanding though that if it's like something happening with Lindsay learners, they can still use those facilities. Like district, they'll kind of operate similar to us. So they'll, like, let's say I have something going on with the group, I'll contact maintenance and say, hey, is the field available on this date? And if it's Lindsay learners, there might be a cost associated as well, having someone to go unlock and lock the place. But it's my understanding that they'll allow.
So if it's a Lindsay, it's not adults, but if it's a kids team, they can still be able to
Learners,
use it
yeah.
whether
So
we have a.
K-12.
Wait, who's gonna go open it?
Well,
The city's gonna go open it?
No, we've got to get out of that business. I mean, I don't know what the mix was about how much the city was responsible for getting the turf.
We put a lot of money into that
Exactly.
thing.
We need to be done. They need to take care of it. That will eliminate the frustration and the complexity with someone who wants to use that facility. It's the schools. You contact the school. They'll know clearly who and what they need to do. We're out of it.
I agree with that. I think there needs to be the separation. We don't, before there was, we're developing these other fields. If we're gonna develop other fields, then let's clearly separate those boundaries. I mean, I think it's been a great partnership up to this point. We helped build some great facilities at the school, and I'm glad we did that. But I think, maybe this is the time when we're doing a fiscal emergency because it's that bad. So I don't know that, we can amend this down to where, we can afford to still do it. I just don't. I think we need to focus, we're gonna need to focus our staff over there at the new soccer field. Because if we're gonna fence that out, somebody's gonna have to go and set that up. Somebody's gonna have to be there to do those kind of things.
Well,
So now we're gonna have two.
The whole is full. We need to focus on the city stuff. And like Laura said, if it's a learner group or club, well, they can deal with the maintenance or they can deal with the district. If it's adults, well, they need to pay whatever fee the school's gonna charge and they need to deal with the school. We need to be out of it.
And that's been my frustration because I hear it from both ends, working in the district, so they're the city this, the city that. It's like, I take it personal.
But I will say, in their defense, I would never have signed this deal where we're cleaning up after every event that they do.
No.
But we haven't done a good job. We have not honored this commitment, and why be in a commitment that you can't possibly honor? It's just going to lead to more frustration and finger pointing.
What we're talking about now is only the high school and that soccer field, is that correct? We're not talking about joint use and other, like the gyms.
We are talking about the gyms, that's part of this, yes.
Do we use them?
I don't know, do we ever use the gyms?
We do some, overflow when you have like basketball tournaments going on, but the same thing, if they're Lindsay learners, they can do that, but they'll have to pay basically the staff time for a custodian or whoever's gonna open it up and ensure that it's clean, but they would take over that responsibility. I don't have a big problem with that.
Me neither.
And I haven't seen that happen
Personally, I think it's time to separate, let them, it was a great idea to get them to help build those facilities, they have the facilities, they have the money and they have the resources.
Property.
So their property.
They sure are.
Yeah, so let the schools take care of it.
I think that's Mario, I think that's where we need to look at this contract. Personally, I don't want to amend it, I want to just dissolve it.
Yeah, terminate it.
Well,
I mean, thank you very much. We're grateful for the partnership. We love you and all that fun stuff. But,
and
it's
then the
on your
question
property.
comes,
You need
can
to.
we just dissolve it?
We'll find a way.
I'm sure.
It's not in their
think they'll
best
be
interest
okay
to have
with
us in a contract that we can't fulfill.
Yeah.
It's not in their best interest. But if they come back with an amendment where they do a counter proposal to back way off of some of the requirements that are on us, I think that they are really not going to want to manage people going in and out of the gyms. They're not going to want to manage people wanting to use those fields. I think that's going to have all kinds of red lights going off for them.
And neither do
but
we.
you're not interested in entertaining any counter from them. This is what I'm hearing from
I think we need to be
we should hear any
respectful.
counter.
We need to examine whatever they propose.
And I know I've personally asked about using like
He's being nice.
the field on, is it Old Strathmore Road? Up there they have some solar panels there now. So I asked Merced directly about using those fields for soccer practice, and he said, well, just submit your application and then we'll go from there. There'll be a charge for somebody going to open the gate and close the gate, but it's a doable thing. There's not gonna be a charge for using it, just for the staff time. Yeah.
They used to do back in the day, just cut off
Yeah.
the fences and.
So, council, in my hearing, we're going to approach them with the intent to terminate the agreement.
Correct.
And if they say fine, then it's fine. If they send a counter, I'll bring it back to you.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you, you made it easy.
Yeah.
I tried to.
We have fretted over this. It's caused myself more frustration, and I'm sure Superintendent Rooney
Yeah.
and Merced, it's caused us all a whole lot of angst because it was just never a doable agreement.
Right.
You know, in the early days where we had a bunch of people that we could just send platoons out, it was one thing, and we thought we had money. But we have neither money nor the staffing to do this.
So we had other workers, we had Proteus, and we had all these other organizations that came in and brought us workers, right? And so it was a lot different. We don't have that staff to do that.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Item 14, cannabis update and discussion.
We didn't even make a motion for that one, it was just that
I
direction?
think that was just to give.
That was just a direction, not a motion, right?
So, council has directed me to provide some forward motion on the cannabis project. And I've been working on that. I say I because we are very limited with our staffing, and so this is one that's likely going to fall on me directly. And then I'll be working with Mario as is appropriate. So you have up on the screen the same thing you have in your hand. And what I've done is borrowed heavily on what both Woodlake and Farmersville have done. And so I just kind of go through it there. It says that this ordinance adds, and it's going to be Chapter 8, it'll be whatever chapter is appropriate, to the Lindsay Zoning Code ordinance found in Title 8 of the Lindsay Municipal Code enacting zoning and other requirements and building standards on all commercial and non-commercial cannabis activity within the city of Lindsay, including both non-medicinal and medicinal cannabis activity. Chapter 8 also imposes reasonable health and safety regulations and restrictions on all consumption of non-medical and medicinal cannabis products, cultivation of cannabis by individuals and businesses, storage of cannabis products and related land uses. This includes a ban on all retail transactions on cannabis and cannabis products, and a ban on all outdoor cannabis, cultivation of cannabis. Are you okay with it so far? What I heard from our previous conversations was you don't want any of it sold here. Okay.
Well, they're gonna have to, they're gonna ship it out, not, they don't
That's the
sell it
intent.
from here.
That's the intent of this.
No retail.
No retail.
No retail.
Correct.
It's gonna get sold if it's grown in.
I mean, they're gonna do it here, and then they're gonna package it, and they're gonna end up selling it to somebody and ship it.
Wholesale.
But that's.
Correct. No
Okay.
retail.
No
Thank you.
retail.
Any parcel of real property where cannabis cultivation is to occur must be registered with the city and inspected for safety compliance. Violation of the ordinance is declared to be a public nuisance, and violations can be enforced through infraction, administrative fine, prosecution, civil injunction, and/or abatement. For further clarification, our ordinance allows for indoor commercial cultivation, and we had agreed, and you've got a map behind you or on the second page of the heavy industrial district. It's the blackened out areas that you see. That includes the Tulare frozen food site and a vacant parcel in the south end of town, owned right in a significantly, in fact, completely by the railroad owns that. And that's so that you limit it to a zoning district. The talk that we had previously was that you weren't so interested in expanding it into light industry. And so this focuses it, it gives it a concentrated area, and if it winds up being the economic boon that has been promised, you can determine later on if the packing houses start going out of business that you might want to expand in that direction. And that would be a simple amendment to this.
Bill, if we wanted to do the other parts of the oils or the different, instead of the growing, do we gotta,
We're talking about.
we gotta work in those two areas, or?
Right now you do, and that's
this
part of
is
the
the-
conversation that we
no,
need to
this
have, and
one is-
I've showed you those initial ordinances and resolutions that we have, because you'd indicated before you thought you might like to spread that maybe to the professional office district or something. And we can absolutely do that. So let me get through the rest of this. And so that was that. So we're saying heavy industrial district for now. No retail sales of any kind will be allowed. No dispensaries will be allowed. No mobile dispensaries, no mobile retail sales, and no mobile delivery services. In addition to the registration process for commercial businesses, there will be a conditional use permit, which gives you a lot of discretionary control. Process that must also be completed successfully in order to operate. Personal residential cultivation also requires residential, is limited to 6 plants, and is limited to indoor cultivation, and it's just the state law there. So that is the start, that's the summary of what we're talking about. And we have had talks about doing lab work. Really, I think that's the bulk of the rest that we've talked about. And so this is a start. I have kind of the preamble to an ordinance, and I also have a sales tax ordinance that I'll continue working with. And we would like to do a study session with you as I make some headway, maybe in a month or so. Let's not nail down a date now. Let me make some headway, because I'm going through, hiring and so forth for Mr. Harmon's replacement, unless he can't get that shackle off his ankle that I've attached him to while you were congratulating him earlier. I've got a few things that I have to do, and as I say, this is falling on me directly.
Yeah. Maybe you could hire a young guy.
At any rate, are you okay with how we're starting on this? And as I say, I've got some good foundational work. I have a sense of what I think you want to do. We'll do a study session, probably over in the conference room, and we'll just kind of kick it around, give you some graphics. And I think Mario's already got some resources on numbers, what's happening out there, what seems to be acceptable to folks as far as what you're going to charge per square foot, that kind of thing.
Right. Perfect. So do we have an idea from the Tulare Foods owner? Are the people that had expressed interest still interested in the property? Have you had any communication with them? Or?
If not them, that'll be somebody else.
Oh, okay.
There seems to be a need for registered licensed growers.
Oh, okay.
Should we be looking at that robot tax too? So when they start doing this, when they start recognizing it, all right, well, maybe another time.
Isn't that take off?
We're good. What do you need from us, Bill?
I just
Need
need.
just an update, so.
It's just an update for you.
Don't have
No
further
decisions
ones.
for a while.
All right.
Thanks for working on
Yeah,
that.
just keep thinking about it, what you would like to see, and maybe you already have that in your mind, but, if you don't, start thinking about what you want to see, where you want to see it, and start asking those questions, because once you start going down this process, it's kind of like, it's a whole new thing. I mean, I can't emphasize that part enough. It's something that you've never dealt with before in the city at all. And so there are so many different components to it, and there's the planning component, and then the people you're dealing with, and you have all these licenses that they have to go through, and then the public safety side. I mean, it's a whole entire new thing. So the more questions that you can kind of get in your mind and how you kind of want it now, the better.
That's right. I think that study session will be really good.
Yeah, I think the professional part of it, as far as the labs and all that, I mean, we want our teachers to come here, we want our police officers stuff to come to Lindsay. I mean, these guys are scientists and chemists and all that, be another good.
We need to get the housing for them. Yeah, that's what we need to do. Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you, Bill. Any future agenda items from anybody?
I was gonna say, if for the next meeting, maybe we can, or I don't know what you guys think, DACA resolution, just so that, our residents know that we're on board and support that legislation. It's nothing related to sanctuary cities or anything like that. It's just a resolution where we're, supporting legislation that will hopefully one day help these dreamers.
So maybe ahead of getting it on the agenda, we can all see the resolution that you're referring to.
And I know Bill's done a lot of work on it too. Porterville just had theirs last week, I want to say. I was unable to attend, but so he's already gotten a lot of the documents.
You'll have it before you go home tonight.
Okay.
And I think the spirit of it is to show the community that you're in solidarity with the dreamers, and it just says, Congress, do something. Just make a decision, whatever it's going to be. And I'm sure the people that are dreamers want to have protections in place, but right now they're in limbo and they're fearful.
And then the other thing too is for the next meeting, if we can just get the special recognition going for, we talked about Tom Spurlock, who's also been nominated for to be the Orange Blossom Marshal. So I think it's like good timing.
Cool, okay.
Yeah. Spurlock.
Probably. Now, Councilmember Cortez, do you have something already written or bullet points that you want us to do? Or
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, and next time we need to talk about what we're gonna do about the parade. Like, what we want to do, are we gonna be able to ride together or not? What kind of vehicle? What's the theme? What was it? Driven, yeah, so it had something to do with vehicles, so we would need to have an interesting something to ride in.
Gym cars. We could get Cantrell's,
Horse-drawn.
Horse-drawn,
Horse-drawn hearse or whatever.
or they're one of the wagons.
All right, well, that's.
At least we could all fit into the wagon.
Okay.
Or fire engine.
I'm excited that you're all willing to fit into the same wagon.
Well, that's a good thing, if
It is a
everybody's
good
willing to sit together,
I
that would be
haven't
nice.
committed to anything.
Of course not.
Always the contrary.
Alrighty.
Okay, there's no executive session, so with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
I like the robot.